Yeah, there we go.
Hello? Oh, this
Hi.
is so weird. I can see myself.
Yeah, don't
Hello?
just ignore visual.
And I'm inverted.
Ignore
Wait, why?
visuals. Just
But,
ignore,
but,
just talk
but,
into the
but
microphone. Don't look at
I'm looking
things.
at don't look, but I'm a visual man. I have
All right, you know
eyes.
what? All right, how about this? I'll turn the camera off and then you fucking. How about that? There you go. All right, no camera.
Not actually looking at it anymore. I don't know. I don't see what you did.
Okay, well, good.
Are you
Anyways,
saying?
hello.
What's up, man?
Uh, not much. So yeah, we got the
Is it
first.
odd? Is it odd to you that we did the first part of the podcast yesterday, kinda?
More or less, yeah. We pretty much just had a mini cast in an hour yesterday because of RTX. If you didn't catch that, I'm sure you'll be able to on the RTX archives. I know last year they did this, or not last year. The last time we did the virtual RTX stream, they did the same thing, and then it was eventually watchable in VOD form on the Rooster Teeth site. So if you want to catch it, that's how you'll do it. I assume this time around. I think, yeah, we're not going to be voting it on our own stuff because the
Well,
whole point.
I don't need to catch it. I was there.
Mm-hmm. But the whole point is that they want you guys to go to click on the thing, so they'll vote it over there, so you can go watch it there, probably at some
I
point. And
I
you know,
saw a great Onion article the other day that somebody linked was we don't get paid unless you click the fucking link,
click the fucking
asshole.
link, assholes. Yeah, they keep doing it actually, and it's because it's true and it's real. But yeah, so as far as like, are you gonna? It's like, no, well, that's the whole point is their thing. So yeah. But anyway, we just answered some questions, took some letters, and did that whole thing. But there's always more. Although, to be perfectly honest, it's not a particularly huge news week. Not a lot
This
going
might be
on.
the slowest personal week I've had in ages.
Yeah, and it's so we'll cover what's there and call it a day. No big deal. Doesn't
This is
always have
such
to.
good. This is such good energy to start with.
Well, what
Okay.
like what is that? Is it not? Would you rather like at least it's just real? That's what it is. This is what life is. Sometimes weeks have stuff. Sometimes weeks have energy, and sometimes
Sometimes,
they don't. That's what it
sometimes the
is.
weak is pushing rope.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. That's good. I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm writing it down.
There is that Yakuza news, which is like wild. It's like
Yeah, so
legitimately
that's a
baffling.
hilarious exactly. So that's a hilarious topic we'll get to when we start the docket, for sure. But there's not a ton beyond that, and that's okay. Life can have different things for you on different days. We'll hit.
There could be more to life than video games, maybe.
I'm sure we'll soon have a week where we're like, "Fuck, this is too much. I wish we could
That
stop it."
was a joke. Yeah. Well,
Anyway.
we're entering into the summer doldrums after the E3,
Hmm.
where it's basically dead until somebody does something horrible or like 35 games come out in the same day.
Yeah,
By the way, England, suck it. You guys are losers.
I like how no one cares about football, but it's just a matter of England losing. That's the only thing that really is the takeaway on the online right now. Or
I'd like to
Ingerland.
make a I'd like to make a correction on Wooly's statement that nobody that we know cares about football,
No one who's
but
list
apparently
no one who's listening to this, and by no one I mean the proper 80% that are North American,
mm,
give a fuck. But it's still a matter of like opportunity to dunk on Ingerland, sure.
I think I'm not a big football expert, man, but I was told that they missed like 3 penalty kicks in a row.
Mm-hmm.
Man,
And the
I'd be
results
ma I'd be fucking suffering cope too, man. That's rough.
Well, the problem is
Holy
that
shit.
the three who missed it were black players, and so that cope turned instantly into ridiculous, insane, torrential racism, which then also became
Oh.
a major problem in the rioting afterwards. Uh,
Oh. Oh.
so that happened, and I want to say,
Didn't know about that.
mm-hmm, that's it's an emotional reaction that causes emotions that are sitting somewhere inside to just bubble up, and that's what it turned into, because that's what those three players were.
You know what's like a skill that a lot of people don't seem to have? The ability to lose with grace. Being a good loser is even more important than being a good winner.
I generally agree, but would you say that you have those features?
I am the best loser.
Okay.
No one has ever been a better loser than me. As long as I agree that I actually lost. And don't somehow jury rig some way to convince myself that actually I totally won.
So, speaking of losing, look at. I'm gonna send you a tweet over here.
I'll look at a tweet.
Take a look at the
Oh
information.
yeah. No, that's been known for a long time.
Cases of domestic violence go up 26% when England plays, and 38% if they lose.
What a classy country.
Although, I'm sure that's not relegated entirely to England. However, that's a stat that popped up yesterday that was like, holy fucking shit.
It's one of those wonderful stats that you look at it and you go, wow, England is the worst. And it's like, no, England just has people who care enough to write that shit down.
People
I'm
get
sure
very upset.
if you went and took a look at hockey playoffs here or the other football in, say, the U.S., you would see something similar. Though in the U.S., I imagine it would actually be a spike in just straight murders.
The hockey over here was enough for mild-mannered Reggie to lose his cool for about 5 minutes the other day. And, we had a little segment on that. Someone who is already very not mild-mannered would obviously then escalate to the next possible place. And that goes alongside other shit.
I had a good moment. I was walking my dog the other night, and I got to see like one of those societal things where like no one told me anything, but I knew, which was I saw 4 cops absolutely sprint their asses off out of like a fucking Tim Hortons to their cars and speed away apropos of apparently nothing. And I'm looking at that and I go, oh, we just lost, didn't we? They're off to put the bait car out in front of the Molson Center or the Bell Center or whatever it is now.
However, surprisingly, there was no riot post Stanley Cup. There was one after the Toronto victory, and then there was one after the team they beat after that, the Straight Four. But there was nothing after the Stanley Cup, which maybe it's because like it had a chance to simmer, and the energy was kind of like, hey, no one expected them to get this far. And then they got one on the board.
They got 3-0. Everybody knew they were going to lose.
So I think, although with Toronto, they also did get 3-0'd, and then they brought it back. So there was a little bit of the hope in that.
Just take Montreal Rioters and then just place them in Toronto.
Yes, yes.
For an evening. That seems like it would be the best outcome for everyone, including Torontonians.
Now, did you see what Toronto did after Montreal beat them?
I did not.
They lit up the CN Tower to be the Canadians' flag colors.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, so they reached out the olive branch, and they basically were like, "Go Canada, go! Cabs, you can do it."
Do you think if everyone in the city went down there, do you think we could just push the tower over?
Even with the Montreal colors on their tower, still shove it over.
I can tell you what you can do with that olive branch.
I mean, not everyone was exactly
right
happy.
Up your fucking ass.
Not everyone was happy with that. That peaceful gesture, of course. So yeah. But that was pretty funny.
It's just the idea of like 10,000 hockey fans attempting to just physically push over the tallest structure. Like, I think it's in the country. And they're all just pushing at the bottom.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say that sports losses of a high magnitude bring out the worst from the worst people.
Yeah,
it's just an easy catalyst because it's just the place that you exist is you guys are losers now. And now you have to feel like a loser in the place where you're from, and that's it. That's the beginning and end of the sentiment. Is your entire your entire region zone has now been given a debuff.
Well,
and your city has failed a composure check.
It's this fun little thing where you get to there's in-group mentality, and you usually see it with religions, right? People will feel very, very close to their religious group, but in a sports situation, you get to skip straight to all the good feelings right away. I watched the game. I went woo woo team. Now I'm part of the gang. I'm a fan. I want them to win.
Mm-hmm.
And you get to skip right to either the really good or really bad emotions.
Yeah.
In the span of 1 hour.
Yeah. No. Religion groups don't have a Super Bowl to have a result that can then lead to. They super should, right? There's no tension release for all these different tribes. You don't have a place where you can go, yeah, this year Shintoism won, and they won in the grand finals, and they totally beat out the Southern Baptists, and those were the two that made it as far as possible, and you don't have that they made it, they didn't, and well, I guess for this next 4 years your God's not real. But then we'll see what happens next time around.
No, you know what? I think going interdisciplinary might cause more problems than it's worth. I think that might cause a few issues. But I'd be down for the Vatican judo tournament.
At least there'd be a payoff, and there'd be a clear
sent in the biggest killer.
Yeah. There'd be a payoff. Oh, the Buddhists, the Shaolin, absolutely.
No, I just said not interdisciplinary. I want only I want the Catholic Pokemon tournament with the Pope as the ref.
Well, look, back in the day, the Catholic enforcers, they had their knights and their crusaders, and they were represented in force. But modern day, not so much.
That shit they were doing,
But anyway, my point is that by having a major competition that has a result that we can see within our lifetimes, you can actually get to that point of well, damn, like now your whole crew just lost. So you're shut down for business and then try again next time, you know? And then the winning one can celebrate the win, and then it validates the whole process for a bit. And, you know, everyone who feels bad will probably, I don't know, throw out a little crusade here or there, go on a little, you know, go on a bit of a holy war. But you get it out of your system, and then you come back around next time and see how you do at the next 4 years.
I'm just thinking that this would immediately fall apart for multiple reasons, obviously. But the first of which is, like, you know how various countries will offer like super fast citizenship for pro athletes from various nations.
Mm-hmm.
Hey man, like, you know, like, hey, this is the Canadian American groups, and it's like all first generation immigrants from other countries that just happened to come over a couple of years ago. Like, I can see, like, hey, we're gonna have the interdisciplinary religious MMA fight. GSP, you're Jewish. You're Jewish now.
for
You're
this
on the team.
Yeah, right now, as of this moment.
We got
yes.
a couple rabbis. They'll bless you. You're in.
Get you done up nice and quick. I have no idea, but I get the feeling from a distance. I feel as if this is basically what Warhammer 40K is.
Yeah, a little bit.
With guns and bioengineering, you know? I feel as if this is kind of what that is, just religion wars. No? Is that it? Yeah?
Yes. The word religious wars sounds like a fake-ass TV show instead of a real thing. Wouldn't it be silly if there were religious wars? What a silly thing.
See, but the problem is it's too many syllables. You just got to cut it down. Faith wars. Every night on CBS. Faith wars. Real simple. But you get confirmation that your team won or lost. That's the important takeaway. Your Pope actually has to eat shit for that moment. You know?
No, I have it better. I have a better solution to this because it has weird knock-on effects to the rest of the religious organizations. The only people that can compete are the leaders.
That might present a problem across the board. Because, yeah, there's a Pope, but who else has that equivalent? The Dalai Lama, okay. What else?
They vote somebody in.
Yeah, but that's the problem.
Everybody votes for
not
it.
every. I think there's a Pope and there's a Dalai Lama, but there's a bunch of others that don't really have that person, at least in the format.
Tom Cruise in there.
Well, that's the, you know, it would, yeah, or Muscovich for that matter, but that's the problem is there's not exactly a living representative of every team, you know, so that doesn't work.
Well, it's a religious thing. Bring in the non-living representatives.
Well, yeah, but
just dump a bag of bones at the start line, and when they finish last, say, I guess they didn't believe hard enough.
Well, we're trying to air this on CBS, and we're trying to sell some ads here. We're trying to get some commercial spots for Smart Water filled up. So, you know, I think you'd have to send your best. I don't think the leadership thing necessarily works. But I definitely do like the idea of, like, the winning one having power over the others for a short while. You know?
How short?
Yeah, the 4-year period. Maybe you learn something.
That seems like a good way to cause, like, a bigger problem. I think we should put the kibosh on this idea. I think we should go back to the Olympic blood sport idea.
Yeah, it's fine. You know? You get everybody having to take up the customs of the other groups, and maybe you find out that, like, hey, I like this one. This one's pretty chill. And then
They're not gonna do it.
Maybe you
They're
go,
not
yeah,
gonna do it.
This one's pretty chill. I like this. This one has a lot of colorful powders. That one's really fun. I like that one. You know, or you just kind of, You just kind of like find out something that you never would have had the okay to try otherwise, you know? Anyways.
We kind of flew off the rails there. I've seen a lot of people talking about blood sports with the Olympics. We should do a blood sport.
I mean,
like, not me personally. Fuck that. I don't want to do a blood sport, but other people should do it.
Based on the stats I just gave you, football is a blood sport in England.
More. You know what? You know what they should do for the football? There's no rules against spectators on the field. Spectators want to go on the field? Let them go on the field. And make no additional change to the rules at all. Just let that sort itself out.
Cool. How was your week?
It was okay.
All right.
I got a dog snoring next to me. He adorable. That's really every day. That's not so much part of the week. I got back into Runeterra and I played a shit zillion of the new Monster Hunter game. As for Runeterra, hey, they added a bunch of new cards. I don't know what they do. Thank God they put tutorials in that fucking thing. Thank God.
Did you make a male Viera?
Oh yeah, I did. The Endwalker benchmark came out. I, as well as everybody else, also made the male Viera.
Yes, my Twitter feed was an endless line of bunny twinks.
It says a lot about like your total follower list.
That's what it was. That's what it turned into, and I was like, okay, I guess it's out.
So there's something that's like really pronounced now that the rabbit twinks are here in character created form, which is people that don't plan on becoming male Viera are getting to look at this and get like super pissed off. Do you ever feel like, let's say in a fighter or a strategy game or what have you, that the new thing being integrated into the old thing got way more attention and detail and all that than the original pack because they were never updated?
Well, yeah,
so I think I mentioned
you were just describing this
Daylight,
with Dead by Daylight.
Nemesis looks like a million times better than the beginning characters.
Coming to the game 5 years later.
Yeah, the original shipped races that came out in 2013 look like complete dog shit next to the new ones, specifically the Viera, where like the texture quality on the skin is a quantum leap forward, and the detail on the hair. And they have facial options that aren't available to everybody else, like different eyelash options that nobody else gets.
But surely they like updated the defaults since like before A Realm Reborn.
Never.
Wow.
A Realm Reborn was the last time these things were touched.
Wow. Huh. Okay.
And what leads to like a really bizarre situation is that like the bunny mans can have a bigger beard than almost every other character in the game, despite being the effeminate bunny mans.
Yeah, they can.
Because they never updated any of the facial options for any of the other ones.
Nice.
Like they're even down to like the starter clothing is like clearly 6-7 years later, and you're looking at your old character and you're like, it feels like run down by comparison. It's a bummer. You could almost say it's a bunner. Ha. Ha.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Is that beard just go ahead?
It's also weird because they have a bunch of hairstyles that the people who play girl characters want, but are locked specifically to the bunny wrap
cowards!
boys.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Make everything placeable everywhere, and not only that, but allow you to float it off its axis for extra creativity.
Listen, I've seen Phantasy Star Online 2. Phantasy Star Online 2 decided to let anybody do whatever. And that led to, like, the nightmare. I don't know if you've seen Mom's character.
I haven't. But I also know that
It's bad.
the freedom that Soul Calibur gives you was also a problem. Because then you went online and fought the cube.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, the cube.
You know, so restrict the scale to some degree, but allow for placement freedom, you know?
Yeah, honestly, the most interesting thing about that benchmark that came out was it does something that I don't know what else even genre would apply to this, where every class gets seen using a new move. What is that? I don't know, and they won't tell us until like September. Just straight up, what is that? I don't know.
I did see that apparently the digital store sold out of 14 copies.
Yep.
That's crazy, but I guess it makes sense given that there's a server capacity. But like
there are two things that happened to cause that. One is the benchmark came out and everybody decided to twink it up. And the second one was that Asmongold posted his thoughts on Final Fantasy XIV a few days ago, which, like, I think I checked it out within like a couple hours, and it like had already skyrocketed to like multiple hundreds of thousands of views.
Oh, so despite the crazy explosion experience, like it managed to sell a bunch of copies.
Oh yeah, eyeballs. Number one thing. If it's even an average thing, like getting that many extra eyeballs. So the servers are currently like absolutely shit choked to capacity. They will have to make new servers. Like, I genuinely don't think that just like slowing it down and like opening up to, you know, X amount of new characters on existing servers is a solution, because the influx is so much that it shut down character creation and sold out on the digital store. That's probably like 10 new servers worth of people.
Now,
these things can only hold so many active people at a time.
Are these people all on their 14-day free trials?
Well, no. Because you don't have to buy the game at all to do that.
You just download it.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So this is like sales.
Did you know that the critically acclaimed Final Fantasy XIV MMO with the acclaimed Heavensward expansions free up until level 60? No, these are people who are buying it. In addition to all the free people that can just try it forever for free up to level 60 with the critically acclaimed Heavensward expansion.
So people watching the streamer didn't then stop playing or take players away. It increased the number. Fascinating concept.
Yes, that is correct. Watching a streamer play something of quality tends to increase sales for the thing.
That's some crazy data. That's wild.
Yeah.
Might be something to that.
It's kind of crazy because like the attitude of like streaming and LPing and all that kills sales is like getting funnier and funnier and funnier over time. And I just want to grab a hold of one of those guys and then grab like literally the top of my email right now and be like, okay, if you really feel that way, go tell this guy that contacted me at my business email so I could stream the thing. You would go tell them why it's a stupid idea. And I want to just see that conversation.
But these are the same people that are these are the same people that are also working for the companies that crop out the Judgment guy from promotional photos to keep a weird, creepy silhouette because they can't allow a digital version of that person to exist. It's the same place. It's the same ideology. You know? There's just a ridiculously antiquated understanding of what all of this is. It's the same people. Why would they, look at the fact that people go and buy the game after seeing someone play it or seeing someone have fun with it and go, hey, that looks pretty fun. I'd like to try that. And then simply one-to-one, there is your, why would the humongous, actually really large list of people that have just sent a cool message to be like, yo, only got Strive because of you talking about it, getting into the lore, and pushing all of this, and I'm having a blast with it. Just tons of those. More than any other fighting game I've ever had to date coming in on a regular basis.
I have an update on the Final Fantasy XIV situation. The European data centers are also completely full. So if you speak English or English adjacent, and you were thinking about getting into Final Fantasy XIV right now, too bad. Literally, there's just... Oh, no! People are gonna just fucking make characters on the Japanese servers! Oh, that's always a recipe for wonderful cross-cultural contamination. They love it when we do that.
You can't stop the Twink engine. You gotta let it fly. You gotta let people do their thing. Well, anyway, that's
oh man,
that was incredible. I couldn't believe I saw a digital thing sold out.
It's got to have a number that it's this is literally the server capacity for right now. Do not sell more than this,
or or capacity plus whatever number for if someone's not active, then you can rotate in this group or whatever the case is.
Yeah, I assume the stock on a website like that gets refreshed regularly as it goes and as you're viewing the technical situation, and so it must have been a big surprise for somebody to look at that and see fucking nothing.
Well,
generate more codes.
Well, it sure is nice that when there was no way for them to join the servers and play the game, that the company stopped selling the product for that moment.
It is, isn't that a nice thing to do?
What a novel concept.
So that you don't buy the game and then log in and end up in a situation where you go to character creation and it says go to hell.
I'm my brain is just exploding with just tons of I can't believe all this new information. What a novel idea. It's you can't log in because there's too much going on right now. So then you just, instead of having someone waste their money on a copy of the game that they can't play, they just said, sorry, it's sold out. And I was like, wow, I guess it is sold out. And no one's paying for a copy of a thing they can't play.
It's extra I'm well aware of the point you're making, but before we move on, it's extra crazy to me because there is the free trial. So these are people who actually knew 100% that they're going to be long hauling it, or people that got in on the free trial and just burned through that shit over the past couple weeks.
Yeah. Well, again, we'll touch on that in a little bit, but
I'm gonna go log in right now and see what the queue is. I'm curious.
Not only is Titanfall 1 not playable, but neither is 2. So,
Sick! On any platform?
although I'm not sure of the platforms, but the hacker for TF2 did relent temporarily to allow people to play, but who knows when they will re-block it. So, yeah, there is a mercy being shown by the
don't worry,
TF2
Willie.
hacker.
It's gonna be fine. You know why? Because there's at least one or maybe even two people working on Titanfall right now.
Correct. The team for both games is one, maybe two people.
No substantial queue. It looks like my server got shut down for character creation long before this shit happened.
I mean, to be fair, like, that person whose job it is to work on one must have one hell of a 9 to 5. Like, what do you... So, game don't work. Like, 8 a.m., logged into my kit, game don't work. 8:02, logging into FF14, making a male Vieira. That's what's happening at Respawn offices.
Oh, speaking of, I spoke with somebody a few days ago. It was somebody in my stream who said that they were watching my stream specifically because they were waiting up to half an hour between matches for Virtua Fighter. Because that game is just already done. Like, just, it's already just completely fallen off.
Any lessons to be learned from the situation, or we just gave it our best and I guess the people just...
Is that SEGA shit with Harada in the news?
No, I missed it. What are we talking about?
Oh, so they interviewed somebody from Virtua Fighter on Harada's like bar thing, you know, where you're talking about fighting games, and flat straight out, he's like, yeah, SEGA of America like was begging us every day to use rollback, but SEGA of Japan was like, nah. And then it's listed as in, like, you know, when they describe it, the actions in the transcript, and it says gives bitter smile.
Word.
So, like, the team and SEGA of America are like, can we do it? And SEGA of Japan's like, no. No, we're gonna do this server thing.
He admitted that they begged... Oh, my...
And then Harada starts talking about how, like, everybody says that netcode is the rollback, but really there's things you just can't change, like packets, and he's going on in his bullshit, and the Sega man is just like, just dying in his heart and his eyes.
We need the dinosaurs purged. We need that fucking asteroid more than ever. Holy shit. It's the same story for the third time this week. It's the same story. It's the same thing.
Sega's
dinosaurs
like,
must go. Meteors, please.
Extra crazy.
Summon Meteor. Madara. Double it. Madara and fucking Sephiroth. Just call it. Call it. Time. Let's go. What are we doing?
When I was talking about this on Twitter, people were like, oh, why won't they listen to Sega of America? Why does Sega of Japan always do this? Which led me to start talking about, like, most people don't even know how bad Sega actually is internally. I have heard so many stories of people in their offices just watching as dudes are pulling Dreamcast Gold Masters out of their desks and snapping them in half and like putting documentation for like the old Phantasy Star games into shredders and just destroying everything they ever made for no reason.
Just
like I bring it up. Has anyone ever noticed that Sega keeps putting out the same like 25 Genesis games literally every 3 or 4 years in a collection, and it's literally always the same ones? And it's because those are the ones that the publishers or the developers for whatever reason kept, because the Genesis library was actively destroyed. It was ground up into dust and burned. Dude. Why? Because the Yakuza that run that company thought Nintendo was going to steal the secrets to Altered Beast.
I mean, like, the poor Sega America reps just sweating like Gil, you know, just on the phone, just, oh God, why are we even doing this? Like,
I remember, like,
what can we say?
Oh God, how many years ago? This is one of the. Remember the PAX that me and Liam went to that you guys didn't?
Yeah.
How many years ago was that? Like 6-7 years ago?
Must be a while ago.
We ran into Gio Corsi, who was at the time doing that thing about bringing
PlayStation
things
Indies.
over. And we asked him, "Hey man, when's PSO2 gonna come over?" And he looked like he wanted to run away from us. And like he just like kind of deflated and was like, just if it does, it was because of me. Just remember that. And that's all he would tell us. But he I can't even imagine. And then you see when PSO2 did finally come over, it was Microsoft had to literally pay for the entirety of the English translation out of pocket for an exclusivity window of like a month. Do you remember that? Like,
no.
Like Sega of Japan is the craziest of them all.
It's fucking insane. Meteor, please. Why so slow?
Meteors are actually really fast. They're just far away.
Just cleanse this Triassic period and bring us forward.
I'm surprised nobody sent that to you. Like, I'll try and get the direct quote.
But you know what? Like, at least it's like, so that's that's further proof of like the internal battle happening everywhere, right? Like, it's not just this weird one-sided thing of you know, Western fans yelling and then like it hits the windows of the office and that's it. Like, no, inside, the people that are there that get it understand that you're sending a product out to die, and it's an already dead franchise, and you just want to get it in people's hands in some way where they can enjoy what it offers in a time when the only thing that matters is the online play. The only thing in that entire game that matters at all.
All right, I have the gentleman. It's
boy.
Sokyu, Gosokkyu. Harada asks about netcode method and whether or not they used rollback. Aoki confirms it's not rollback, despite Sega of America's regular requests for them to add rollback. It's essentially the same delay-based P2P method that was used for the PS3 360 versions of Final Showdown. They, mostly Harada, explain how retrofitting rollback into 3D fighting games is tough because they're presupposed on fluid animations compared to the limited 2D. Again, Harada says how there's all sorts of little things you would see the rollback of, blah, 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 blah. You can't do it in Soul Calibur. You can't do it in Tekken 7. It's mostly Harada talking. Aoki, the Sega gentleman, says they conducted weekly international tests for Virtua Fighter's esports netcode. He thinks that their implementation was the best option given the circumstances, and that they were using VF5 as a base, and that Sega of America staff were surprised and convinced it would be okay if once they actually tried it. That is a lie.
Look, man.
That is a lie.
I just all I can say is at least we live in an age of fine, I'll do it myself. You know?
Yeah.
You could just march forward and like make your own shit that works, and everyone will ignore what doesn't, and that will be the end of that. They will be too busy spending their time cutting out the actors from the photos that are going online, like with a pair of scissors, because you can't use Photoshop because that's too digital.
It's too much. I've spoken in my career, air quotes, I don't know what to call it anyway, but I've spoken to people at a lot of American companies of like the American branches of Japanese companies. A long time ago, I spoke with people at Capcom. I spoke to a guy who worked at Nintendo. I spoke to a guy who worked for the Pokemon Company, etc. And it's like a universal experience where you ask them what it's like dealing with their Japanese parent company, and that vein that they all gain starts to twitch in their forehead, and they just kind of stare straight ahead, and they go, "Oh, it's great working with them. We're doing the best we can." Ha ha ha.
Yep. I talked too much about that Seth Killian back in the day, and you know his talking about choosing his battles, you know, but it really is like that, man. It really is just this like there's a nervous energy with everything of like we're doing our best to get the point across, and a fraction of it is really landing. And, you know, hey, I hope you still support the product. Yay.
Yeah, there's always a nervousness and like, are you gonna cry? Are you gonna burst into tears?
Because the answers to multiple genres, to multiple things in this industry, to multiple games and franchises and IPs, the answers are not always so simple, you know? Like, people weren't even crying out for a brand new Virtua Fighter at that point, right? It was just and like it was already free in the Yakuza games. Anyway, all right, whatever.
Oh man, this whole interview is like Harada, like white knighting Sega for deciding not to use rollback.
Because we already know based on the previous interview how he fucking feels on it, and then, you know, you're not really gonna get anyone pushing you know, the feeling forward. Like I know like the first or second episodes had some actual like Japanese FGC players show up to the bar and were hanging out while Ken Kutaragi was calling them young pups or whatever he was doing.
Yeah.
And it's like, those are the people that you want to have there. You want to have Itabashi Zangi for something like that in the interview, just going, if I may, with the most polite, you know, usage of the terms possible. If I may interject, Harada-san, you know, there's something to this that is more than people yelling and not knowing what they're talking about, you know?
I would like, I'm just like fantasizing in my heart about like, what if Keats just got on there and you could just have Keats talk to Harada for like 10 minutes and Harada's not allowed to like leave. Like he has to listen.
No, because it doesn't. It's not gonna flick. Because right now, like it sounds like the energy between him and the Sega rep there, like in their heads, they're doing the fucking like the Tom Cruise laughing meme. You know what I mean? Just like they're loving the fact that like, and then they kept asking about it every day. Can you believe these fucking, you know, like
the Sega rep definitely gave off the Sega rep did not seem happy to talk about it.
Okay.
Like her was like bragging about how netcode blah blah blah, but the Sega rep is like
You know, did the Sega America rep have to like hand over their business card, and then the Sega Japan rep just crushed it?
Yeah.
You know, with a stern face while maintaining eye contact.
It's Harada has really become like the avatar of like he has become the swindler of progress.
You don't want to be on the wrong side of the rollback war. Like you want to like when people are yelling for rollback, if they can yell at a nebulous company logo, that's way better than having a face to yell at. It's way better. Yell at the logo. You know, yell at the let it hit this little Arxis logo or this little Capcom logo, or you know, you don't have to have when you have a face that responds and it has, you know, shirts that say "Don't ask me for shit," and it's like, well, fuck, it's aged like milk, you know. Anyway, anything else of note there?
On the rollback thing, nah.
Okay. Well,
oh, I actually have a more in-depth answer as to what's going on with the Final Fantasy XIV codes. The website, it's not capacity, it's that the website can't generate enough codes fast enough.
Oh, interesting.
Like, it's not made to generate this many codes in this short amount of time.
Wow. Okay.
That's even crazier.
Like new code validation. Yeah.
The whatever part of their infrastructure on the back end is the thing that makes the new code died under the load.
That's insane.
This is technically my week, I guess. Dude, Monster Hunter Stories 2 is like the best. It's like one of the best JRPGs I've played in years. It's absolutely fucking incredible.
Wow.
Your mileage will obviously vary depending on your personal adoration for Monster Hunter, because there's a significant amount of like, oh man, it's that thing that I like, that you would get in like any other Digimon or Pokemon or
Did you finish one?
No, they're similar enough that I realized that I would have burned out on 2 if I had kept going through 1, and playing 1 on my phone or like jury-rigged through my PC was definitely not an experience I was cool for. It's just great. It's a party building game a la Pokemon or Digimon, and it's just really well put together, and the system works really well, and it looks great, and it's very charming. It's just fantastic. The weirdest thing about it is, do you remember, you may not have seen this, Wooly, but like when Monster Hunter World came out, like it got like some Game of the Year things called it an RPG.
Didn't hear about it.
And yeah, they would be up in the running for like best RPG and like Monster Hunter World, and you're like, what? How? And now that it is an RPG, like it's literally a JRPG, I'm looking at it and it's like, they really didn't change almost anything about the generalized structure of the game at all, other than the way that you fight things. So, you know how old classic Resident Evil and Resident Evil 4, the only difference is the camera? Whether or not it's pre-rendered and above or behind the back.
You know, it gets a little more action-y, but initially, yes.
And the controls for shooting, right? It kind of feels like that, where the loop of going out, finding monster, doing quest, get monster, do story quest to unlock thing, rank up a star, use the monster to make gear, combine items, etc. It's exactly the same.
Just instead of skinning it and wearing it, you're making it your friend.
No, you're still skinning and wearing them. You're just also stealing their children once you've done ransacking their corpse.
Oh.
So that you can indoctrinate them.
Wait, so are you wearing the skin of the parents?
Oh yeah, you're getting the same gear
buddying
you
up with the child?
Would. Yeah.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's comfy. Good. I like
I'm
that.
Your mama now.
Yeah. You smell the same.
Yeah.
Of course it's going to be your friend.
I have a shiny rock on my hand that makes you docile or some shit. But yeah, it's like
cool.
The only thing that changed here is the art style a little bit, and it's instead of an action game, it's a JRPG. Like turn-based battles.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, if you've played any existing Monster Hunter game, you know exactly what you are actually getting into. And that formula fucking rules. I love it. I think that game's great. And it gets to it rewards people like me who've been playing the series for forever.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the larger mechanics is being able to guess what the monster's going to do or what kind of type it would be. Because you want to...
I'm just thinking about what you're saying there, and one thing I really liked about playing World was, it's the purity of the missions where you're walking into a boss arena and you've got a move set. That represents the core of what I love in a lot of video games. And then your mastery of that move set allows you to efficiently, dispatch the boss and take it out in whatever way you can. When you restrict that to a sort of menu turn-based system, does that take away from the I guess not just the challenge, but I guess the variety of things? Because in a normal RPG, you're fighting a bunch of slimes and then some stronger enemies through a dungeon. Eventually you get to a boss and there's all kinds of little variety where your system is like complementing that because you might use different spells and different approaches to take on these RPG enemies. Of course, these monsters are going to have the unique approaches that would allow you to exploit their weakness, but the variety that goes into, like the positioning and the ways you attack something in a regular Monster Hunter game, when translated to something turn-based, since that's the only thing you're fighting in the arena or the dungeon or whatever you're going into, is it limiting because it's just that one thing you're fighting?
No, not really. You keep a substantial amount of those moves. They're just spells. I'm using air quotes here on spells. Right? And the core of the Monster Hunter like action gameplay has always been about prediction, because everything takes so long. Even the fastest weapons have like a input and animation priority on them, and that core is still here. So there's a boss fight with a Rathian. You remember her, I'm sure.
Dodge the tail.
You get to see whether or not a monster's doing a regular attack in most of the time, and who it's pointed at, and adjust accordingly. And then Rathian pointed at my character, and no attack box came up, which meant that it's a skill. And I just, in my heart, knew, oh, that bitch is gonna hit me with the fucking backflip, and I'm gonna get poisoned. So I used my guard ability on my greatsword and mitigated it, and sure enough, here comes the backflip, and I got poisoned. Okay. It's taking the existing formula and just slowing it down and making it turn-based.
Because I'm also thinking about how, Pokemon is a series of, like, you're fighting Pokemon. But, like, they're still the same length and general speed of a random enemy over on the overworld, versus when you go into a gym and then you have to fight like a long 6 monster battle against a gym leader or something like that. Yeah, then it's more of a drawn out fight. Are the RPG versions of fights like about as long as the action fight versions in the original game would
so
be?
that's probably, if we use like Pokemon as its comparative example. Stories 2 does something interesting in that you get into many less overall random battles than you would in, say, a Pokemon.
I'm sure,
but
yeah.
individual random battles are way longer.
Okay.
They're way longer, and the idea is that you have to accommodate for... You ever see what a Zamtrios looks like, Wooly?
I mean, possibly.
No, you never seen that one? It's a big inflatable shark that uses ice moves.
Okay.
So when you first run into the Zamtrios, it uses technical moves, so you have to accordingly use power type stuff. And then if it gets its ice armor on, it starts using speed. And then if it becomes big Inflato Zamtrios, it starts using power. And you have to accommodate for each of those. And there is no way I would have been able to tell what each of those would have been during its initial phase. In addition to, as you go further in the game, you have to deal with breaking monster parts to either delete moves or increase their retreat rate or just decrease their HP or cancel out their moves by breaking apart in the middle of it. And I cannot stress strongly enough that it is the action combat of a World or a Rise literally just slowed down, and instead of having direct control, you're using a menu.
Yeah. I guess because I'm, again, I you know, I understand like how the change in flow like works here. Though I'm envisioning if you're going through a game where the flow, which I like in Monster Hunter, is pick the boss, go fight the boss, and that's it, right? You're not going through a level with I guess in World you can fight a bunch of little Jagras, and then you go fight the Great One, and then there's going to be like 2 or 3 other things on the map. But if that's not what this game is presenting you with, and it's kind of like sending you in a room with one thing, then that RPG menu system of like abilities and skills and stuff, and like you'd want that to be fairly complex. You'd want that to have a lot of variety to it, so that it's not just as something like FF1, you know, attack, magic item.
Yeah, the main thing that they do with that is monster skills and then breeding the monsters to get better skills, and you can also switch between any of your weapons on the fly to accommodate for elemental weaknesses or like damage type weaknesses.
But your monster is still mostly fighting automatically.
Mostly, but if you can use what is essentially MP to tell it, hey, don't do that. Do this instead.
Okay.
You're also usually fighting with a partner and their monster who are actually completely automatic.
Okay.
In a 4-person party system, you have 1.5 persons level of control.
Okay.
Which is about appropriate for an average hunt and Monster Hunter.
Because I could see it being a challenge to, you know, keep the variety interesting within that like change of a system. But if they did a good job of it, then that's pretty cool.
Yeah. The other thing is that like basically you remember expeditions from World, like just go out into the world and there's a bunch. That's the game's primary thing, where you have dungeons and you have the overworld and whatnot, and they're wandering around. Random dungeons will have random monsters, but the static ones, like I know exactly where to go fight a Tigrex now every single time I want to fight one, because he's always in that one spot if I want to go farm Tigrex shit. However, on top of that, what really surprised me is that at about 15 hours in, I fought my first human opponent, which is monster and person versus monster and person. There's a weird little caveat in that humans are not allowed to attack each other.
Okay.
It's not allowed. You're not allowed to do it. Can't do it. But once I won that duel, it unlocked versus multiplayer and co-op multiplayer, and the co-op multiplayer is go to the board, select a mission, load into somebody's like mission, do a hunt. You have 1 minute to gather the items you want after the hunt. Kicks you back to the lobby. It's functionally identical.
But
I know I kind of sound like a...
You cannot fight another human no matter what. This world
Directly.
world is for animal blood sports only.
That's correct.
Okay.
It's like literally exactly the same in every aspect other than its combat system. It's bizarre. I can't think of another game that does this. I can't think of like this is the equivalent of that Gwent mod for Witcher 3 that replaced all the game's combat with card battles.
Yeah, it's not like someone with a glaive spinning around fighting someone with a greatsword would look cool or anything. Who wants to see that?
Well, there's a million games you could play.
I know.
It's about the Monster Hunter's about monsters.
Yeah, I know.
People are pointing out Yakuza. Yeah, it's okay. The most direct comparison is Yakuza whatever to Yakuza 7. Everything's exactly the same in tone and structure.
Mm-hmm.
It's just how you hit the button to do the punch is different.
Right.
And as such, it's a great Monster Hunter game. Like, I'm absolutely in love with it. I think it's super.
Man. Fucking charge blade combos getting dodged because the gun lancer is mounting the enemy.
Wooly, I'm well
it's not
aware.
My fault. It's not my fault. It's just the idea is just hit the ether.
What if it was a fighting game?
Not even just PvP. But it's fine. It doesn't matter. That's not what it's about.
Oh, somebody just pointed out Persona 5 Strikers. If you played that, is also very similar.
Okay.
It's in fact Persona 5 Strikers is the reverse.
Turning it into an action game.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So think of reverse P5 Strikers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I get it. It's just that with Yakuza and with P5 Strikers and with all the other examples we'd list, you still have a dungeon, grunts, mini-boss, full boss, whereas Monster Hunter is really interesting in that.
You still have that here.
Oh, so you're not just going on a thing where you're only fighting the monster you're hunting.
No. When I say a dungeon, I mean a dungeon.
Okay, see, that's kind of
my
entire premise was wrong.
That's like, they'll give you a story quest that says, "Hey man, there's a Paolumu fucking shit up," like you would get in any other Monster Hunter quest, right? The story quest.
Yes.
You go to the Paolumu dungeon, and there's stuff walking around that's not a Paolumu, but the Paolumu is the boss monster at the end of that dungeon.
Okay, then my entire premise was wrong.
An hour from now, the Paolumu will start to populate, and it will become a more regular enemy, so that you can acquire it.
I thought my whole thing was based on describing a mission where you select the monster and you just fight that, and that's the whole thing.
No, it's an open world JRPG.
Right. No, I'm saying because when you made the comparison to Hunter, that's what I thought you meant. I thought you were describing.
No, yeah, okay. If this was a JRPG equivalent of picking missions from a menu, yeah, that would suck ass.
I thought because you said it's similar in structure. I thought you meant that pick the monster you're gonna hunt from the menu, and then you get put in the room and you go fight the monster.
You're writing
or in the area, you know.
In terms of overworld structure, it's Pokemon.
Mm-hmm.
To the point where it has HM slaves, where I need to go get a chest here, so I'll bring Arzuros so he can break the rocks to get the thing in this mini dungeon because the rocks are behind it.
Yeah, all right, totally fine then, yeah. Mm-hmm.
The game's great. I mean, like, I can't rep it enough. You could watch my stream of it over at Pat Stares at on Twitch, but there's also like a insanely gigantic demo. The demo is like 4 to 6 hours long. It's fucking huge. And it's one of those demos that carries your shit forward.
Okay.
Like it's just the beginning of the game. So if anybody is in any way confused about the way I described it and sounds interested, yeah, just go play the demo. It's on the Switch and the PC on Steam. Though I would highly suggest getting the PC version as the Switch version it's doing its best. It's trying real hard. It feels like a game made by people that thought there was going to be a more powerful Switch.
Oh no.
There's when you open up an egg, like, you know, the oh, what kind of monster is it? When you get the egg back, the game feels like it's gonna crash on the Switch. Like it's getting down to like sub 15 frames a second.
But OLED though, with an OLED screen.
Now we can see the shittier and shittier frame rate. With the OLED. Is it better or worse than that new Hyrule Warriors? I'd say it's better, but it's also because it's turn-based. There's no real action combat, so frame rate is, you know, it's not the end of the world.
Cool. All right.
I had a really bizarre moment playing that game the other night where I was grinding out a bunch of gear, and I was like, I'm tired of this one. I'll just hop on Rise on my PC, only to remember that no, Rise still isn't out for PC because of some Nintendo exclusivity thing. And I'll come to PC with their next expansion or whatever the fuck, and it got sad because I want to play Rise at 120 frames a second.
But if they put Rise on the PC, then that would be like giving up the rights to their monsters, and then everyone can see it, and that would be bad.
Well, I mean, Nintendo and them had like a deal for timed exclusivity.
But putting something on the PC is the same as giving up the rights to it.
It's the same as just giving it to thieves.
We're really just we'll get there. Don't worry. It's okay to dangle the carrot a little bit.
Cover it in feces.
Yeah. I saw someone like, what the fuck are they talking about with the cutting? It's like, hey, listen along. We'll dangle the carrot a little bit. We'll get there. For me personally, I had a very simple week. It was, as you can imagine, a week of striving.
Yeah.
And it was fruitful. I finally broken into the celestial floor.
Congrats. I got in there once and then was quickly ejected.
Oh, I mean like permanently, or at least like with the VIP thing for now. Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah. No, I got into the challenge many times and kept getting kicked out because I was getting bodied by like,
there's
again,
freaks in there.
Real fucking names. People who I'm like, oh yeah, what's up? It's Arturo. Yeah, you know, there's some people in there doing their thing, but no, I mean with the VIP, so that's cool. And not and then yeah, I like running into familiar faces. I got to do a longer set with Wool last night or so. Had some good times. He's got a beast Faust that I have to respect, but I like doing those multiple sets because you learn the matchup a lot more when you get a chance to figure out what's what. I like I do like that. I mentioned it before, but man, the feature that like sticks you back in training mode with the same opponent you just fought is fucking. It really is like becoming invaluable because I'm leaving everyone like, because now that I'm in the celestial floor permanently or for the next month or whatever, like right. I'm just getting my shit fucking annihilated way more than ever, and like I'm left with more questions in these matchups than ever before. So like whenever I face a killer and I'm left with like a list of notes that I want to write down, that I do write down, you know, you can just go right to answering a bunch of those questions. That's really nice. Something I did not notice, however, that I'm not too fond of is they have the whole floor system is designed to rethink and reinvent the ranking system of other fighting games, and it has been successful in that the floors allow people to stay within a skill window that they don't have to experience getting blown out if they don't want to by like experiencing other games where the rank is just a full pool of everyone online, or like keeping it within your zone. What I don't like is that part of this effort to keep things feeling better means that when you go to look at your ratings on your R code or your stats, the game literally does not tell you about your losses in any way, shape, or form that I can find. It only tells you how many wins you have, and it tells you what kinds of wins you have, but it does not tell you how many times you've lost, against who, and what your overall ratio is.
That's some good feel-good technology right there.
Lost data is completely absent from the stats. And I hate that, because it sure does make you feel good if you don't have to look at those numbers, but that also means that tells you nothing, because you know your time and you know how many wins you've made in that time. But for the love of God, I'm trying to improve on my weak spots. If I can't see where they are, that doesn't help. Like, I can feel them. I know
here's your
that
strengths, bro.
I know that I'm getting annihilated by Milias, and I know that, like, I can feel that from what's happening. But when I go look to recap the stats on it, it doesn't show you,
No, here's your strengths, bro.
I don't like that, man. You can't.
You're really strong.
I understand if you don't want to shove it in someone's face. I understand if you don't want to put, KDRs or whatever, like, if you don't want to put the equivalent out there where, like, you're forced to stare at it every time you queue up for a match, or what plus R does when you're playing in rollback is, like, it has a win percentage. So it shows you, like, total matches, whatever, you're an overall, and that's kind of how you're divided. So you can see somebody that's like, oh yeah, you've got a 40% win rate and you've got 1,000 matches, or you've got a 40% win rate and you've got like 20 matches. But it's like the main thing on your page when you match up with somebody. I understand if you try to de-emphasize it to make people feel better, but the fact that it's nowhere in the game at all, even after digging through the sub menus and stuff. But what we do have is these, like, not that helpful offense, defense, guts ratings.
Yeah, those charts are always worthless.
CFN on Street Fighter V did the same thing. It's kind of pointless, I'm like, yeah, okay, so, and it tells you, like, oh, your move variety is high or your move variety is low. But I'm like, that's not helpful, right? What actually helps you is going to your replays and looking at your replays. But then if I have to go to my replays and then count up the matches I've won and lost there, that sucks.
There's a I want to say it's like a trend that's been going on for a while. Like, do you remember the Overwatch stat screen?
It's been too long.
Assists are the same as kills.
Okay.
Right? So you'd hit like tab or whatever to see, like, your scoreboard, and it'd be like there'd be way more points on the board than there were kills in the game. It was like specifically juicing the amount of eliminations to make you feel good. Now, I get that it's kind of a class-based game. Like, Torbjorn may not have gotten, like, as many kills as, like, the Genji or whatever. But, like, I still actually want the fucking number.
Right. So, what exactly does knowing your lost number do, Wooly? LOL. Excellent question. What it does is, if you are trying to improve, right, if you're someone who cares about going over your mistakes and trying to tighten up, because it's a new period of the game, it's a period of discovery, right? Even if you're playing on a regular basis and you're taking wins and you're taking losses, but you don't know how you're overall doing, seeing a slight trend towards, better wins with especially certain matchups and certain characters, you can gather that you're overall improving, right? If I see that my worst matchup is 0 out of 10 matches won, but then I start winning them more often, certainly the difference between 0 out of 10 and 1 or 2 out of 10 is you're going to notice it right away. But if you're stuck in that range where you're losing 5 out of 10 matches and then you start getting like 6 or 7 or so, it's a slight indicator of the adjustments you're making help you move in a more productive direction. So if you're someone who doesn't care about anything I'm describing, then that loss number means nothing to you. But if you do want to know, and if you do want to improve in these small ways, which matchup knowledge and like specific losses to certain characters can help you with, it's invaluable data. Why wouldn't you want to know? You know?
It's also interesting because
I hope that answers your question.
With characters that are played less regularly, like, yeah, I know that Milia's kicked my fucking ass in. I'm aware. It's very obvious. I didn't realize that I lost, say, 6 out of 10 matches against Faust because I've had 14 matches with Faust ever, right? Because he's not popular, right? So you can identify, like, not just, hey, which is my worst matchups or where do I need the most work, but it's also, like, which is the worst matchups that occur the most often.
Yeah, if you're in the middle of working out or exercising and you're trying to lose weight or gain muscle, there's a lot of ways to improve. But like you can just weigh yourself after working out and that'll be your only metric. But if you're someone who's trying to build muscle, that shouldn't be your only metric. So if your goals are different and you're not just trying to cut weight, then weighing yourself on the scale is not the only thing you want to pay attention to. You want to pay attention to your fat percentage. You want to possibly pay attention to, you know, you're like if you're looking at your food intake. If you get to a point where I remember at a certain point I was like you know, checking my actual weighing my calories and shit like that. Like all these things can be helpful depending on what your goals are. So offering the data and then letting you choose which ones you want to look at is objectively better than hiding all of it away from you and only giving you your weight.
I have a rebuttal to that, and that rebuttal is, but you're so strong, dude.
The little butler on the tower said that none can match my skill, so I guess I should feel good about that.
Dude, what if you were so strong? Look how many wins you have. Wow.
Yeah. You know, it really is. And the thing is that once you, especially like, again, the Celestial floor is open fucking season, right? Like the top of the mountain and the bottom of the Celestial floor are way further apart than the bottom of floor 1 and the top of floor 10. You understand? The distance from floor 1 to 10 is shorter than the distance from the bottom of Celestial to the top of Celestial.
I think I said that when I got there. I don't know if it was on stream or if it was to you, but
yeah,
it's an infinite chasm.
It is. And I was lucky enough to do a set with the number 1 ranked Nago last night, for example, and just, you know, I did better than I thought, but the oppression is just like I'm going straight to the lab and taking all the notes I can. Like there's so much to learn.
Because like you think about like a league or something, right? Or StarCraft, right? You got iron, bronze, silver, gold, plat, diamonds, and then whatever the fuck is past that, right? And then each of those have the number rank inside it. And I'm just like, how many ranks do you need in a system to stop that giant gap? Because I started at floor 6 when I started. Floor 6 to 7 felt natural. 7 to 8 felt natural. 8 to 9 natural. 8 to 10, that was tough. And then breaking into Celestial was I'm sweaty, and then fighting the match in Celestial felt like somebody beating me up in real life.
Yeah.
Absolute. So like, what's the magic number? Because it's
Well,
a curve, right?
You can subdivide it more, but if you put too many, then it just becomes a daunting thing, right? So I for something that's a new experimental attempt at this kind of ranking system, they're smart to not divide it into 50 floors of towers you're climbing, because people would just get exhausted. You know, it would become, or you'd have to be able to skip like 5 at a time. It'd become a
nice good number.
Yeah, it's simple enough. You don't have to, obsess too much over it. And some
it's
floors,
11.
but then it's still, like I said, it has an hourglass shape to it, right? The number kind of inflates outwards at the top and the bottom. There is definitely, like, people are able to like describe like what's going on at each floor now, and it's kind of interesting because I'm seeing like there's tips from Maximilian, there's tips from Kizzy K and all these different players about like, here, are you stuck at floor 7 and you're trying to break into 8? Are you stuck at floor 9 and you want to get to 10? Like, this is the type of tip that'll apply to you and will help you, and that's an interesting thing happening.
They should have a system in which if you use a Roman cancel in a round and do X amount of damage after it, it should just ban you from floors 7 and below.
No, if you do a fast Roman cancel. If you do an FRC. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
If you do a normal Roman cancel, you're somewhere in the middle. If you do a fast Roman cancel, yeah, all right, you're doing something advanced. Yeah.
Because it's an interesting thing where I'm in a very bizarre place where when I was worse at the game, I was having nonstop good close matches. Mm-hmm. But now that I'm just good enough to be bouncing at 10 to the entrance, I'm having complete wild ping pong matches.
Yes.
That are cakewalks to complete trouncings.
Because the skill level of people who belong up there, again, it's massive gaps. You're running into like your local basement kings, and you're running into Evo champions at this, like, in the same gathering.
Because rank 10 also includes 2 very different groups of people that manage to crawl their way into the door of the 10th floor.
Absolutely, yes.
As well as the group that is trying to break into the Celestial Temple.
People who set up shop.
That group has the widest variety of skill of any group in the entire system.
Oh, yeah. No, there are people sitting in floor 10 like the Crestfallen Knight who are just like, oh, look, here comes another one. And Crestfallen can't get up to Celestial, but he's like,
he can stop you.
But he can stop you. And that's all he got, Yeah, totally. You see that. When you're someone who's like, if you're right now, if you're having a hard time getting past like 6 or 7, it's like, what your character does, what you're doing, and you're doing moves, but you're kind of just winging it in situations and hoping for it to pay off.
You don't have a plan, and you may not have like the feel of it.
Right. Also, you're letting opportunities slide. And occasionally there's things that you should be able to hit or punish that you're not punishing, right? Like 8 and 9, you're landing those punishes, you're doing that stuff, and you have rounds where the person never ever gets a chance to do anything, but you're still unfamiliar with when everyone else does that to you.
Yeah.
You can run a train on everybody when you get your cards right and you guess right. But if you guess wrong and they run the train on you, you don't know how to do anything about that. That's like 8 and 9, Mm-hmm. So like you can kind of like look at each spot and go like, oh, okay, you're right around this level of like skill, but you're missing this component, And then 10 is like, well, as you know, it's like you have a complete package now, but like you're missing like option selects. You're missing things where you're putting yourself in situations where you have no choice but to lose, and the only answer is don't be standing there, and that takes a long time to figure out, and so that's why I'm like, I want to rush and get I want to get to
let's take a photo of a character fighting Potemkin and the character is behind Potemkin's standing like just regular idol behind his fist.
Yeah.
You have failed somewhere. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Why is Potemkin idol right next to you? What the fuck are you doing?
Yeah. For more than like a second, you know, in and out. So that's the type of thing where what takes the longest to figure out. And I know that, so I wanted to really get up there so that I can find those hot spots quickly. And I'm starting to note them, because that was also I feel like a big part of my journey in like Samurai Showdown was just like, okay, where am I allowed to be standing at any given point? And this is where, you know, going back and watching your footage, it really helps. If you fight someone particularly strong, or even someone that's around your level, look at you can find the places where it's like, are they kind of unsure of what to do right here, right? Are they kind of like in a spot where they're not really going ham on you and they're waiting to see? Probably it's because you're in a spot where you can do something to them that they don't want, you know?
And if you don't know what that thing is, find out what it is so you could do it.
Exactly. Milia is comfortable jumping around like an asshole next to you and doing all of her bullshit. But when you're at full screen and you have something that threatens her from that range, she has to make some big risks to come in. So you want to see that floundering in their gameplay and be like, oh, I want to keep you there as much as possible, you know? Yeah. So this is what takes a long time to figure out. But yeah.
Or you can just play Soul.
Or if you don't want to do any of that, just play the main character.
If you want to
enjoy the main character privilege.
Grab a banana and just start.
The current top of the ranking on PC is a Soul bad guy whose name is Please Nerf 6S.
That's incredible.
It's the best.
I love it.
It's the best. It's fucking...
I love it.
Amazing, you know? So, yeah.
It reminds me of... Oh, God. There's a recent Mario tennis tournament in which, like, the third place winner was a guy who, like, hey, how do you feel about winning third place? It's like, yo, this game is trash. I don't know how to play it. I just picked Baby Bowser and spam trick shot. Fucking fix it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. using that platform privilege, you know?
I think the For Honor one was like the best one ever. Or like took it all the way to the win.
Oh, yeah.
Only to be like, yo, this game is trash. I just used a bug all the way to the top.
Or something along those lines, yeah. You gotta respect the honesty of the name, though. You know, just LOL. Why am I even here? You know. But yeah, having fun with that, and again, I feel like I was way more wary of the system. It has its issues now, but I see floors as like it has a benefit that is tangible that I think you can work with. Let's say you got rid of the Habbo Hotel and you still had just finding a list of names, but you're within a certain category, you know, with an upper and a bottom container. I think you can have a lot of people having a lot more fun with their fighting games, especially in those beginning stages, by keeping some sort of structure like that. So that's not too bad. But for the love of God, don't hide data. Don't hide data just because you think it makes people feel better, man. You know, if you want me to dig through five layers of screens, then I'll do it. But
Wooly, I guarantee you there is a stat man who literally brought up a spreadsheet that says player retention goes down if you show them their win-loss record.
Yeah, so but at all, because I can do it manually by counting. But it's just annoying to do.
What you're doing right now is arguing for removing the total number of games from the list. You think you're arguing for showing win-losses? What you're actually arguing is for deleting the match history over 30 matches.
So as soon as you get a KO, it just says, "Don't worry about it. Doesn't matter."
You got some good hits in though.
Yeah. Match over. Rematch? Heaven or Hell, Duel 1, let's rock. Match over. Play again? Yeah. Anyway. Put it in the fucking... bury it in the EULA text. Make it a really small font of just like, you know, stats for nerds like on Google Chrome. Make you have to earn it, but just let me go look at my shit.
There's nothing to be done about the stat thing. Like, I remember playing Call of Duty a million years ago where anything under 2.0 is garbage. Despite the fact that if you run the math on that in a 6v6 game, like, there's only so much kill to go around.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Right.
Then, fine. You want to not... it sucks, but, like, how about... just go, hey... when I go to the Milia page on my R code, just go, "You're doing better. You're doing better." Yeah. And if it's doing worse, just say normal.
I just
normal or doing better.
I just thought of like the actually most predatory, most nefarious microtransaction ever possible for a fighting game as a result of this conversation. Wow, you just got blown up. Do you want to play $1 to not have to fight Milia for 1 hour? No Milias in matchmaking, guaranteed.
Okay. That's hilarious, but that already exists in this game. In this game. It's called people who wait and look at your character choice and then just never go fight you.
Yeah, that's true.
People go and they see your characters and then they just go, "I don't want to fight that," so they dodge. You see this really aggressively. I was talking about it, I think, last week, but when you go to the Celestial floor, you can see the very, very picky, choosy people that are like, "Are you anything but a Kai? Then no, I'm not gonna fight you. I will fight you if you're Kai."
Bad matchups. I'm not gonna fight my bad matchups. I'm just not gonna do it.
You know, and it's
a shame because I mean, you've never played League, and I doubt you'll ever get in a Runeterra, though there's more chance of that than League. But like, if those are super popular, and thus they have. You remember me talking about Blitz GG a million years ago, which was that program that would like tell you your slot picks. It would give you the breakdown on your early game, how your money clear, your minute to minute, your trades, and all that shit. There's a Runeterra one which fucking shows you what cards have been played so far by the opponent in their deck, so that they're gone. You know they're gone.
Yeah, that's handy.
It's right. There's totally the potential for a fighting game one of just like an exhaustive breakdown of this kind of thing, but there isn't a fighting game that's popular enough to
warrant that side project,
that kind of ad revenue on a program that helps you do better.
And you know, I mean, we're all only human after all, so I'm not going to pretend that when I see people, when I'm not in the training mode auto matchup thing, when I see people queuing up with the Nago mask on, and I'm like, I don't want to fight a Nago mirror. Like, I do have that feeling, but I'm still gonna do it if it's an open space, you know, and it's there. I'm still gonna go fight them, you know. But like, there is that little thing of like, with towers in this system, you can also see people's characters and who they are and whatnot, versus in games where they just serve you your next match. And I think there's benefit to serving people their next match, because the ability to walk up and choose is also making it a little. It's like if you get to Celestial but you've dodged every whatever character,
every single person in there is going to trounce you no matter what character they are.
But the fact that you could even get that far, completely deciding I don't want to fight half the cast or whatever.
You know what that means? That means they're smarter than the people who brute forced their way up there with their pure skill.
If you made it up there and you didn't fight a single Mei, you know what I mean?
Then you're a genius. Then you're a smart person.
Yeah. So these are the weaknesses. These are the things that would have to be improved upon, you know?
You ever see those videos of those soul mirrors where they're just standing next to each other, canceling out their fucking success?
I believe it. You don't have to.
It looks like trash.
I don't have to imagine it. Yeah, but I love the skew though, because the characters who get, you know how like when there's a tier list that's like has faults, doesn't has less faults, has more faults, and then carries you, or you have to work hard for it, right? Because there's characters that have like very few faults, but you have to work for it, type of thing. It creates a really interesting thing where, like, in general, Faust players that are higher up know what the fuck they're doing. Like, Wool worked hard to get to the place he's at with that character.
Yeah.
When a Soul player shows up and is in that higher ranking, a lot of the time I'm looking at it like, you're just gonna do whatever you want on Wake Up.
Is he gonna Unga? Or
you literally don't know what blocking is. You don't even know what it is. I've had tons of matches.
My favorite tweet about Soul Bad Guy ever, which was somebody complaining about their, quote, Soul player boyfriend is just doing whatever in training mode, unlike the rest of us who gotta work for our goddamn wins.
Yeah.
You could feel like real tension off the text, like this person's top tier is hurting their relationship.
I mean, like, when a win is a win is a win, make no mistake about it. But when I can do a little test, and that is Nago with high enough blood can slice you from really far away, I'm nowhere near you and I've knocked you down, and as soon as you get up, I'm gonna swing the sword. You get hit by it. I'm going to dash up and keep that same far-ass distance that you can't do anything about and swing it again. Do you get hit again? Do you get hit a third time? Okay, you are not even blocking, man. You're so used to being Soul that you're like, I don't have to ever stop. You know? And those are the moments like, right, you made it up here, you got a really good Unga going, but you literally have not held back once.
I saw a photo that was like Soul with Ramlethal's swords floating in front of him, and he was riding on Mei's dolphin. And it was just the models just like slapped onto, like, what if this was one character? It's like, oh my god.
So some people are higher up, but are missing way more fundamentals from that placement because they just didn't have to learn them, you know?
Yeah, I ran into something along floor 9 and 10 when I was going there of, like, Meis that were at the top of 10, and I'm like, you actually don't know how to do anything other than spam that dolphin thing, and it got you here. Mm-hmm. Like, you actually got all the way here.
Correct.
I don't think you know how to tech throws.
It's like, really interesting.
Like, it's crazy.
You know, and it's like, and they're not gonna last, but it's fascinating because that's the stat on the tier list. The tier list I'm talking about. That's the carry you stat. Carry you stat will allow that to happen. You know, it's really fascinating to take a few games where, like, you might even lose the first one or so, and then be like, wait, hold on, you know, and then like you it takes a second to uncover, like, oh, there was nothing underneath this. It was one trick, it was one thing, and that's all there was. I would honestly say that even though they still have to work for it, I noticed similar with Axel. Like, there are some Axles that like have no up close game, and Axel can still fight.
I don't need to know what to do when people get in because they're not gonna.
Yeah, and he can, and you do want to have that, you know. But like there are some that are just like, yeah, I'm just gonna panic up close and jump away. I have no other plan, you know. And you're like, oh man, like no, you're missing that part of your game plan there, you know. It's really interesting. It's a fun discovery. Anyway, Strive
Guilty
good.
Gear's good.
And I guess just real quick. I've been playing the new season of Tekken, and there is all the Breath of Fire stuff is now in the game, and it's interesting. I don't know. I assume every mechanic that gets added to Tekken is something that is just taken from another more successful card game.
Oh, I have a question about Tekken.
Mm-hmm.
I loaded it up because we were talking about it, and I figured I'd give it a shot.
Mm-hmm.
What am I starting with in Tekken? Card-wise.
The default decks?
Yeah, like what am I like? There's a bunch of default decks.
Yes, every character has a default deck that you can pick, with some base cards in it.
Okay. And at the baby ranks where I would be starting as a little baby, I would assume that people are generally using those default decks.
They would be, and if you read what they do and use them correctly, you'll start beating the baby people at the beginning.
And start going up to the babies using pre-built decks.
Yes. Although between those two, you're going to have babies using decks that are not pre-built, that are like, I just kind of picked some stuff and I'm winging it.
I had this, so I put it in there.
Yeah, I unlocked this. I unlocked. It was free. It sounded strong, but they don't necessarily have synergy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, with the rest of your deck.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Around like I think it's like
pretty much
F5 or so.
I pretty much exclusively net deck. Like I look at, like I was playing Runeterra earlier today, and I'm like looking at the card list, and I'm just like, how do people even do this?
Yeah. No,
where do you even start with this? It's totally alien to me.
That's for like the fucking tier of matches I'm playing, with like the ridiculous beasts in this game and shit. Like, yeah, absolutely. I'm 100% going and seeing what the meta is and writing the meta and looking at like decks that have, you know, a preset like synergy with like these cards and these cards. And there's times where
on my toolbar that's the Mobalytics like current monthly meta for decks in Runeterra, because like I don't know how to.
What I've done though is like I mentioned this some a long time ago, but for me, before that step, I was rewatching a replay of what my opponent destroyed me with, and looking at those cards specifically. So if I came across someone that was like insanely strong, I would replay it and then pause and look at their cards that they played against me, and then take note of those. And then that's how my initial like step upwards from the beginning kind of started, you know? Was just like I would just get wrecked by shit and then go investigate it. And if I liked the look of it, I'd be like, oh, let me try this out. Or if it was just like, okay, now I know how to beat this, you know? Like, because there's some cards, you know, that like a black deck uses against you where it's like, oh, this will kill a unit that's like low rank, but only if its attack is lower than 2, you know? So it's like, okay, make sure you know that you've read the description so that if someone uses that on you, you just buff that card up to have a higher attack than 2, and then it won't get killed, you know? Have those, like, read the fucking thing. But fighting against random people in the beginning and just taking note of like what they're destroying you with is a pretty good way initially. Net decking is also there too. But if you just net deck and you don't know what the cards do or what you're fighting against, though, you're not going to go very far, you know? Because like you're going to have to also learn things like a red deck, like a Ryu or an Amaterasu, will play cards that do damage as soon as they touch the board, which means if you go first, you're going to take hits. You know, so you want to waste their time because they have to play cards that don't have they want if you force them to play a card first that's supposed to do damage but nothing's on the board, then they wasted that card. You know, so you kind of like have to get familiar with those sides of it too.
Yeah,
it's you know, it's an interesting like progression of like learning out how shit works. And so with this new Breath of Fire stuff, they've implemented quests, and it's a new mechanic. Again, I'm sure it's taken from Magic or Runeterra or something, right? Maybe you'll recognize it, but it's
I'll probably recognize it.
A given card has one action that allows it to level up, like to level 2, 3, 4, or 5, whenever this particular action occurs, right? And then each time it does level up, it gains the experience, gives it a new ability or side effect.
And that's per match?
No, for that card until it dies. So for example,
that's the absolute core of the Runeterra champion system.
Okay.
So like, for example, if you play Zed, Zed is like a okay card, but after he does 2 strikes that do health damage, he turns into a much better card.
Okay, yeah, so that's exactly what that is. They originally had it in the form of like growth, where it was putting down something and then having a card drop next to it will like give it growth experience, and that in its own will just level it up in some way. So Nero, for example, you put down enough cards next to him, and then like he gains a shield, he gains some strength, he gains whatever. But eventually that became like, you don't have to put them next to him. You can actually just hit the opponent or put a card in your EX pocket or a bunch of other things, you know? And so that's kind of the new thing. It's interesting, but it definitely is like a convoluted step, because you have to know a lot more about these individual cards than other decks required you to, you know? So I'm reminded of like the complexity of playing a character like Zato, where you have to know a lot of like shit with Eddie. You have to know how to negative edge, like release the buttons properly and keep the lockdown going, because you're minding your main character and your puppet character at the same time. It's a little bit of that, where it's like, if you're going to play these quest cards, you have to make sure that you're on top of like what each quest for each level is on each card, and then what the next move is, you know, in a particular situation, while reacting to everything they're doing. It's I can see it as a more like high level advanced kind of way to play, because when you're trying to get into, again, like the highest rankings and whatnot, you're not paying attention to your own deck. That you know by the back of your hand. You're just paying attention to what they're doing and putting the appropriate counters down. So here it gives you like a facet of that is you know, like 4 or 5 layers deep sometimes. It's interesting.
Yeah, I wish like there's definitely an appeal to making a deck and making your own deck, but like my experience back when I played Hearthstone was that I would make my own deck, and it was a terrible, terrible version of an idea that had been perfected into a meta deck. Right? So it would be like, oh, I would like to make a shaman thing that focuses a lot on this. And like I would make it, and it would be complete trash. And then I would look online, and somebody had the same idea. They just did a better version of it that actually worked really well. And I'm like, why would I not just... Like, I wish I could, like... I almost wish I would be able to play a card game like I would a fighting game, where I'm just selecting a deck type and going from there.
Well, that is what you're doing here. You are picking a deck type. Like, when you pick Morrigan...
No, I mean, like, in totality. Like, this is the red deck, and it's a sealed deck.
Oh, like, okay, well, like what we were talking about last week with, like, a limited number of things. Yeah. I would say, though, like, the answers to a lot of that, unfortunately, lie sometimes in just going to the, like, to the deck editing screen and reading the descriptions on a bunch of cards, and that takes a while, you know. So you have to go, all right, I'm going to put down some low level cards, everything worth 1 point to 3 points. Let's go read what they do. And then I'll see, oh, that sounds interesting. Maybe this, maybe that. Take some notes, and then you take it into the free play section and see how they play together. You know, that's a whole bunch of it is just like doing the slow homework and deciding like, oh yeah, these work well. You know, and even more complicated is when you do a multicolor deck, where you're like, I'm gonna combine black and red or something like that, where you're like, well, now I can only go up to like half the expensive level of cards that I can otherwise play, but it gives me access to the resurrection abilities of black decks plus that instant damage of red or whatever, you know.
Right.
Yeah, it takes work that if you don't feel like doing, then net decking is fine, but just realize that if you do commit to that style of net decking, that you have to one have the cards to build, have the powder to build some of the cards you want that you probably don't have in the list, and two, learn what you're fighting so that you make it make sense. You know?
Runeterra's system seems really aggressively built for net decking because you can just copy paste a string and put it in your thing, and it'll show up, and then you go into the deck editor, and it just shows, hey, these are all the cards you don't have in red. Do you want to click on them and use your free currency to just get them right now? Like in Hearthstone, it's Dust. I don't know what it is in Teppen.
Teppen, same thing. You can do that. Yeah.
Yeah, and you just go boom, 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 and like, cool. I have my deck ready to go now. But like, I don't know. Like, I go and I look at the list, and I'll pick a region for Runeterra specifically, and I'm looking at like a group of 200 cards, and I'm going, what is fucking so like, and I'm just picking them pseudo at random.
So for example, with this season, because a bunch of the cards I was playing last season are now illegal, I went to the deck, I kicked out, I removed all the illegal cards, and I kept the stuff that I was used to, and then I replaced it with, like, you know, shit that was legal, that I was like, yeah, let's try this. And I know it doesn't work in perfect synergy anymore, but it at least allows me to go online and start fighting people and seeing what it looks like, you know? And then I took some L's to some people that were doing the new shit, and then I was like, okay, now let's go write down those cards they're playing with, or look at those cards and investigate, and then see like, oh, these three play really nicely off each other, and then see if you incorporate those and stuff. So it's a slow but steady process to kind of like get a really strong deck out of it. Anyway, that's Teppen. But you can check out more Disco Elysium over on Wooly Versus, continuing this week, as well as get into fighting games. We're gonna have a couple things. I want to see if I can get more than one game done this week. So over at Wooly Versus on Twitch and Wooly Versus on YouTube. Let's. We got our. Do you want to take a break before we get into? I
would like to take a short break.
All right, let's do that. Break, then ads, then the news.
See you in a bit.
All right. Sponsors, where are you at?
I love sponsors. We've got great sponsors on this program. Super sponsors, if you would.
Week. Podcast is sponsored by Stitch Fix. Get your shabby ass clothing taken care of by people who know what they're doing.
I don't know what I'm doing.
You need people who can make you look your best, that can step in and help, because quite frankly, the rags you have on your body, the garbage bag you're practically wearing, you know, why not have Stitch Fix do you up and make you look a little better and comfy as well. Shopping for new clothes now that, you know, we're entering a world where, hey, the outside might be a thing again. Your newly vaccinated body can enjoy some outdoor a little bit.
People will be able to see you.
The visual that you output into the world is actually going to start mattering again. And if you're, if you're like the rest of us, you might have need for a new clothing, you might have need for some new clothes because you probably got a little chunky. You probably put on a few, you know?
What?
I got big. I can't wear some of my old clothes. So I have need for new clothes because of the weight. And if you lost weight, then you still need new clothes to show off your amazing new weight loss. Either way, a lot of people have changed in size, right? And shopping for new clothes can be stressful.
I got a lot taller during the quarantine.
You sure did. Horizontally. So if you're ready to get back outside and, you know, your closet's saying otherwise, then, Stitch Fix can jump in. They're offering hand-selected clothing by expert stylists for your unique size, style, and budget. So every piece they choose is for your fit, your style, and it's an easy solution that makes finding what you look best in simple. You try on pieces at home before you buy them. You keep what you like, send back the rest. They've got free shipping, easy returns and exchanges, and prepaid return envelope is included, so no subscription required.
Well, that's nice.
Yeah. You set up Stitch Fix once to set up automatic deliveries, and a $20 styling fee for each box, which gets credited towards the pieces that you keep. No hidden fees ever. They got styles and clothing to fit any occasion, men, women, kids, all over the US, available in the UK as well. Excuse me. Just that simple. So, don't rely on your own garbage sense. Get the experts involved. Get started today at stitchfix.com/superbeast and get 25% off when you keep everything in your fix. That's stitchfix.com/superbeast for 25% off when you keep everything in your fix. stitchfix.com/superbeast.
Thanks, Stitch Fix.
Thank you, Stitch Fix. This week, we're also sponsored by DoorDash.
Hey, DoorDash, what's up?
They can save you in a pinch. I mean, I'll tell you what, this very weekend, you know, I was like, hey, I want to get some finger food. I want to get, you know, a drink or two. I want to get some toilet paper. Could use some of that. Some essentials, you know, some very particulars. Usually dinner is one thing, but I was looking for some very particulars, and I was able to get them. No problem with the variety of things you can order with the household essentials on DoorDash. Of course, it's not just limited to your dinner. You can get your deodorant, you can get your morning pick-me-ups, you can get your coffees, your breakfasts, whatever you need, all around the clock. And, you know, they're helping your favorite spots stay in business. So you can get them delivered straight to you. And we've mentioned it before, but they do the safe drop-off option. So they just ninja it, come to the door, ring the doorbell, open the door, there they go. Back into the night.
Where'd they go? How'd they
to
get
help
out?
another in need. With over 300,000 partners in the U.S., Puerto Rico, Canada, and Australia, you can pick from your favorites. They got Popeyes, Chipotle, Cheesecake Factory, all that good stuff, and anything local that you love. So for a limited time, our listeners can get 25% off and zero delivery fees on their first order of $15 or more when you download the DoorDash app and enter code CASTLE2021. That's 25% off up to a $10 value and zero delivery fees on your first order when you download the DoorDash app from the App Store and enter code CASTLE2021. Don't forget, that's code CASTLE2021 for 25% off your first order with DoorDash. Subject to change, terms apply. Thanks, DoorDash.
Thank you.
And last but not least, this week the podcast is sponsored by Away, the suitcases of the future. Been a minute, but still a very, very sturdy ass suitcase. The best I've owned, the best I've traveled with. And I am anticipating in the near future that I will have need for some suitcases. I am anticipating
for travel, right?
Yes, correct.
Not for
living purposes. No.
Yeah.
But if I did need them for living purposes, they'd do an amazing job. Make no mistake. The size reduction, the pouches, the battery charging, all of the features, the wheels, the reliable, sturdy. It would be great if I did have to live out of it. But that's not what is happening as far as I know. For traveling.
That'd be a real swerve.
That would be a swerve. But I'll tell you what doesn't swerve. Those Away suitcases, they roll straight when you push them and pull them. The wheels are quality. They don't do that lopsided, like one side is all weirded up like a shopping cart kind of thing. They're good. They're solid. And I've got two of them at this point that I rely on every time I travel. So, if you're like me and you're probably going to be using some in the near future, why not travel with the most sturdy and most size retaining, I guess it would be the right word, options you can go with. All of the suitcases Away makes are designed to last a lifetime, durable extensions, exteriors that can withstand the roughest of baggage handlers because, they're basically treating your suitcase like it's the Euro 2021. They're doing bicycle kicks sometimes. I saw a dude do a Goro stomp once. It was pretty wild. So you want to put your trustworthies in good hands. My arcade sticks need to travel in good condition and not be banged up too much. So yeah, that's what's good. That's what it's good for. Interior organization, laundry bag that separates your dirty clothes, those quality wheels I talked about, TSA approved combination locks, and again, I can't get it. And I really, really, really have just so much use for it. Here it comes.
Get ready for this.
The battery. We we use it every single day. That is not a joke. Dead serious. Every single day we use the goddamn battery. It's so good. We got two of them. Excuse me. And they charge your phone up and whatever else you need, portable. It's great. So start your 100-day trial and shop the entire Away lineup of travel essentials, including their best-selling suitcases, at awaytravel.com/beast. That's awaytravel.com/beast. They've got a 100-day trial you can use for whatever you want to try it out for. Take it on the road, live with it, do your thing.
Days.
Yeah,
that's a lot of days.
You got 3 months plus to figure it out, see how you feel about it. And if you don't like it, full return, no questions asked. Free shippings and returns on any order within the contiguous US, UK, Europe, and Canada. So you're going to love it. Just, once again, that's awaytravel.com/beast. Thanks, Away.
Thanks, Away.
Okay. So yeah, in news, looks like the Last Judgment will be the Last Judgment.
Oh no, what's happening?
The Judgment series is ending over disagreements with the PC port of the game and the talent agency representing Takuya Kimura. So,
what do you mean that that they want different royalties for the PC version because of the international audience, or what is
those? It? So the game developer and those on the side of the talent agency, Johnny's is the name of the talent agency. They also represent the group SMAP. Are said to have been unable to reach an agreement regarding the platforms to sell the game. Oh, you never heard of SMAP?
I've never heard of SMAP.
SMAP's been around. SMAP's a thing. They were not unable to reach an agreement regarding the platforms to sell the game on. And basically, Judgment, originally released on the PS4, remastered, came out for the PS5, Stadia, and Xbox Series XS. The new ones will release on PS4, PS5, XS, and Xbone, but the regular Yakuza games do get ported to PC.
The personal computer. Yeah,
exactly.
True.
As did the most recent one, 7, Like a Dragon. And it turns out that this company has a ridiculous history of absolutely doing everything they can to run and hide from the concept of digital content on a computer. The entire idea of anything being accessible. Computer.
Like, because Judgment on my PS4 is digital.
They are not okay with the release of the game on PC. It appears to be that the talent agency's management feels that they dislike the PC overall, and from a business point of view, they feel as if it would be problematic for their ability to protect their ownership of the business model. This is a lot of nonsense wording.
Which is what?
This is a lot of nonsense wording to effectively say that they think that if you have a picture of something on a computer, because people can copy computer files or take pictures of them or whatever, then people can just take whatever they want and use assets, and when by taking those assets and using them in whatever way, shape, or form, they're no longer they're taking the power of the company away, because the company's job is to protect their ownership over the likeness of their talent, and in this case, the main guy of Judgment.
But the Stadia is a computer.
But it's a set console though, so no, not really.
No, it's not. The computer.
Well then, but it's no, it doesn't feel like it.
Computer. I mean.
Yeah, but it's not. Keyboard and mouse and Windows. Shut up. Uncomfortable.
PlayStation 4 has keyboard and mouse support, and you can rip models off of.
We don't like it. We don't like it. It makes us nervous.
Well,
So
I think the funniest thing about this story is, like, I was also looking into it, and I can't get more other than, no, it's bad!
no one can. No one can. And the reason why you can't nail it...
It looks
the
like
reason
there's
why
nothing there.
You can't nail it down because it comes down to a board of dinosaurs sitting around a table saying this is just this, we don't accept this. We just don't want it. And when they go, what are you afraid of? They say, we just don't want it. We don't like it, and we don't have to explain it any further. So you're trying to put it into some context where it's like, are you afraid of screenshots? Are you afraid of asset ripping? Because both of those things can still happen when it's on a console. Easily. No problem. In fact, those consoles have share buttons specifically for sharing screenshots and footage of the content of these games. It'd be one thing if it was like, please don't take the likeness of our talent and then use them as a 3D model in something else or whatever. But it's not even that well versed or thought out, because that implies that they understand it to that level, right? Like my initial thought was, oh, they don't want him to be ripped and used in VR chat or for like SFM porn or whatever. But it's like, well, now you put a spotlight on it.
No, but like literally too late. He's already been modded into PC versions of other Yakuza games.
But it's not even that smart. That's the problem. It's like it's not even on a level where you're like, oh, that's the like fifth degree fear coming true from a PC rip or whatever. Because if you take a look, so Nibble on Twitter was basically reporting on this a bit, and he explains that they have for the longest while been this way about everything PC related, and you can even go to the SMAP collections on Amazon where they refuse to put a real album cover up because they were afraid of putting digital representations of the artwork of what the physical would look like. They're afraid of a digital storefront, so they just put up a placeholder that says SMAP collection whatever year. And then you get to the absolute absurdity, which is what we've been joking about the entire podcast, where there are photos taken of band members from the previous boy bands they represented, singers and actors, and everyone from their talent agency, and they were literally prohibited from having these actors and members of boy bands and stuff that they represented. They were prohibiting those images of these people from appearing on the internet. They owned their likeness to such an insane degree that they were like, we are not allowing them to be represented digitally at all. And they took this as far as going to scans of digital magazines. If a magazine was sold in print and sold online, the online version would have the literally cut out photoshopped silhouette looking like the background of Persona 4 characters floating around of the talent, because they're like, no, they can't be shown online. We cannot show their faces digitally. They're completely insane. It has nothing to do with being afraid of 3D models ripping. They're just out of their minds. They don't understand what a computer is.
Somebody in the chat just said Kitamura was not allowed to follow his wife on Instagram.
So, for the longest while, they had a deal where, because there was the whole boy band, and he managed to get popular enough that he was given the exclusive right to not have to be married and have a child in secret. Every other member of the boy band he used to be a part of was they left the agency. And no one else that they represent is allowed to have anything resembling a relationship of any kind. And lest we forget, other agencies where you got to shave your head. God forbid you put out an image of being a human being. The availability thing,
The Japanese fame industry, like it's easy to focus in on idols because it's so much more obvious, but the industry of being famous in Japan is completely divorced from even the appearance of reality. Right? Yeah. Like let's take the actor who plays in the character in Judgment. I completely forgot his name already, but whatever.
Kimura.
What with the pandemic and whatnot, don't you think it might actually be pretty bad for your career to have your face be invisible as an actor
in a time frame when everything is online and digital, and the only way that people are seeing products, trailers, anything is through the phone or through the internet? Yeah, it would be.
Actors are always trying to get their face out there so people know them and the people want to see them in things.
But here's what's so completely insane is that since Johnny's, the agency, has been around for so long, they have so much power that they're able to do this, and they've been able to keep this up, and they're still very, very influential, and it hasn't affected them to such a degree that they would have gotten rid of this by now. You know?
I remember for a long time when people so there was a long period, it was really bizarre, where you'd get the Japanese voice track if you got one at all, and people wanted it dubbed, and then it inverted, and you would get the dub, and people wanted it subbed in, anime or whatnot. And there was this, I want to say 5-10 year period where you would get the news back, and it was the dub will only be available outside of Japan because the company that works with the voice actors has contracts with them that they have personally asked that their voices never be sold outside of Japan.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when the discussion or being able to find out information would always completely break down, because it would be they're not asking for absurd royalties for extra Japanese recordings or something. They're just no, my performance will only be for Japan forever. And there would be actually no stated reason other than no, don't wanna.
So what we're seeing, right, in all of these things, and just from the beginning of the podcast, the level of the insanity of the rollback push, going to the Atlas Stegosaurus refusing to let people, stream their games or look at them without going through these absurd hoops and restrictions. All of it is just, it is a violent rage against the concept of social media existing.
Yeah.
And I don't know who the fuck is working at these companies that is under 60, that, you know what I mean? Has a word in edgewise, but there's no one telling them that this is
if you look at a Japanese population graph, there's probably 3 people under 60 in that office.
Well, yes, that's a whole other discussion entirely. The aging population is a humongous number, because yes, there's not a lot of young blood coming in these days. But even if you do, you also have to go through the system where you basically have to wait your entire life to become that age to earn the respect to get through the hoops and whatever. But a whole lot of really insane old people that don't know what social media is are terrified of it, and they're in charge of films, games, music, just the entire multimedia industry in Japan is under the thumb of a giant cabal of people that don't understand it and violently hate it. And when it comes to it, it's just well, that's the end of a pretty cool franchise that we thought was going to represent the action game alternative, while Yakuza was going to go on to be the RPG.
In hindsight, they really probably, at SEGA, as we've discussed, noted good business havers, SEGA of Japan, should really have probably figured this out sooner before they stapled this franchise to this actor who has this crazy agency.
Well, but here's the thing, is it possible that they looked at the situation and went, oh yeah, no, our other Yakuza games have been killing it on PC. It's been making a ton of money. This is a staple. This is a no-brainer. And they probably thought the amount of money it makes would just be guys, of course we're doing this. Look at the revenue, And they probably didn't expect to run into that level of insanity, which, again, these are the same people who we know they also behave like dinosaurs in their own fields at their own times when it comes to shit like Virtua Fighter. We just talked about it. Like, they're just other forms of dinosaur, you know? But usually you'd think, oh, the money would make them go, oh, my bad. That's real nice. That game's selling really well on PC. Fuck it.
They'll
do your
come
thing.
around.
They'll come around. They're here for profit. That's what it is. You're here. You're in this game to make money, you know. And it's like, no, it's not. That's not what's going on here. You know, it is a ridiculous, like, just, you know, hair trigger reaction. So yeah, you don't get it.
This reminds me of, like, this is like, you know, it's personally affecting to you and I and many of the people who listen to this podcast because we like Japanese produced media. I really like a bunch of animes, and I really like the good old Japanese video games. So this affects me disproportionately compared to, you know, my buddy who doesn't. But it reminds me of, like, the refrain I've been talking to friends of who are still into wrestling, where, like, every day they say a prayer to maybe this one will be the day that Vince's heart explodes. Like, just maybe today he'll have taken too much of the juice and we could have creative control go to anyone but the fucking mega dinosaur that is Vince McMahon.
But that dinosaur is jacked and immortal. That's the problem. He's the Omnisaur. He you know, it's not gonna work for him. I just, like, time will obviously fix this problem.
You know? Don't know that.
Like, Meteor is time, and it is being summoned. We are calling it down. Make no mistake. It might take another 10, 15 to complete the summon, but we are calling the Meteor down. It's just that in the meantime, these insane displays of, like, cropping people into shadow format for social media, like, it's, if they have enough money, if they've been around enough and they're established enough, there's nothing that's going to come along and go, yeah, this is stupid, look over here. And also with this guy, I believe he's the only person who stayed behind, whereas his entire band all left the agency, you know?
Yeah.
So it's one of those stories too where the more I heard about it, the more it was like, well, he's in a unique position of, like, being the one that stuck around long after everyone else left, and so he's kind of like a faithful devotee, you know, of the Johnny's agency and branding. It's crazy. It's some of the wildest shit I've seen, and the more you dig, the harder that you see them fighting, and the more absurd it becomes. And again, and you know, and it specifies in all these articles too that it's like he's probably really upset by this, and he's also someone who, again, he had to get permission to announce that he was married and had a child. That he had to get permission to allow his family to exist. You know,
I bet the actor was like, "Oh, dude, I'm the hero of a cool video game from Sega. That's awesome. Oh, come on, guys. Oh."
And this is where I bring up the question, right? How many times has tying a game franchise to a real-life actor for promotion worked out versus it backfiring horribly?
Go ask the Capcom team that made Onimusha 2.
Exactly.
A game that I'm pretty sure can't be re-released because I think they got like limited term rights for the actor because he was dead when they made that game. I don't think they can get the rights again, what with him being now much longer dead.
How many Bujin guys do we need?
Oh.
How many...
You will never get to play Crisis Core officially ever again. Never, ever.
Yeah, it just... And even in the scenarios where it's, like, completely justified, you even have the regret of let's say one Elliot Page for participating in a David Cage game. Like you have the parts where it's like, oh yeah, that mistake, that blight of a project that happened. It's kind of a weird thing where I'm like, Judgment was cool and it still is, but you're kind of wondering, should we have just made up a random NPC face character and just went a different way with it without tying it to real life,
Yeah, but Hollywood actors. Hey, but TV actors.
And watch them somehow wait 5 years and then they work this out, and then, I don't know, someone walks by him and whiffs a hint of something that smells a little bit like weed. And then the entire Judgment franchise ceases to exist. It's like, oh, he brushed up against some poison ivy. It gives off a scent, and that's the end of that game. Yeah, tying it in with real people in this way, give yourself contingencies, or just make sure you don't overcommit, because who fucking would have thought that the people aggressively fighting against rollback would get out dinosaured by an even older, more ancient group of people that are cutting and cropping social media photos out like completely insane.
It's really interesting because like the Yakuza series in particular has like this kind of unprecedented, exhaustive history with using real actors. Like it's everybody, and it's all the hostesses, and like in 6 they got porn actresses involved in the minigame. Like everybody's a real actor in those things, and it's super never cool. Been a problem.
It's super cool seeing that the squad of 3 and 0, seeing Kuze and Amano and Awano and like all those guys, like yeah, these dudes are rad. Like it's powerful.
Kuze's doing a Yakuza 0 LP, by the way, the actor.
What did I fuck up?
What? No, I said, did you see that Kuze, the actor who plays Kuze, is doing a Yakuza 0
Oh,
LP?
he's playing through it himself. Oh, wow. No, I didn't see that. No, that's great. That's great. Yeah. So, like you have all of that and it works out so well, but then you just get this fucking Samanosuke problem in the worst possible way, But it just, again, it's like, it's the fact that this is, it's happening to the people who are guilty of the same type of crime themselves, Like, who would expect the what do you call it? The creature that crawled out of the primordial soup? The first, the first land crawler.
Amphibians, it's all their fault.
Just that screenshot of someone just kicking it in the fucking head like, fuck that stupid thing. Everything was a mistake.
You fucked it up.
That thing is responsible, They got out dinosaured by the old and the ancient deep. Unbelievable. Yeah, so that's the end of Judgment. Rip.
By Judgment.
Or a new franchise gets announced featuring a lawyer that kicks ass. And it's just some new fictional character.
It's weird because Ichiban and Kiryu don't have actors associated with them.
And it shows aggressively in every cutscene.
Yeah, it sure does. You know what this means? This is a great time for the ending of Lost Judgment to end with a very tragic, super vicious murder of the main character.
You gotta redo.
A last-second character switch.
You gotta redo.
You play as Kaito for the last part of the game.
Hey, yo, check it out. It's Apollo Justice. How you doing? Get De Niro in there. Set it up. Have Luca find a baby. Set it up. Do what you gotta do. Oh man.
What a bunch of stupid shit.
I'm A-okay with the baton pass. I got no problems with it. And again, it also means that like as a function, fans of the old Yakuza will no longer have action games to play because they're committed to the RPG system.
No. They're gonna make an action one. Whether or not it's Judgment or some other fucking thing, there will be a Yakuza.
But that's what I'm
series.
saying is like it was going to be Judgment, but now I guess we'll just see what else, you know. Yeah. The main villain of the next game is Johnny. Yeah. That'd be good. That'd be good.
There's precedent. There's parts in 5 that have to do with the idol industry that have some genuine supervillainy in it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Let's keep talking about again these ancient reptilians, shall we?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because it's a mindset that just it baffles. But it turns out, as of this week, in South Korea, Minecraft is now R-rated.
Oh, all right.
Have you heard about this?
I've not heard about this. Is it because you can make a penis?
No, it's not.
Okay.
R-rated. And it's like, oh, that's a head scratch. I can't wait to see what series of events forced this to happen. And so it turns out that in South Korea, they have something called a Cinderella law, which pulls the plug on any child or teen hoping to play games in the early hours of the morning. Since 2011, anyone under the age of 16 is prohibited from playing online video games between midnight and 6 a.m.
Uh-huh.
And this meant Minecraft servers were still open and available during the hours of midnight to 6 a.m. as a game marketed at a group of people that should not be allowed to play it. So their choices were either to modify the game to have a specific version that adheres to this law and disables people from playing between those time frames, or just make the game adults only and prohibit young people from playing it. So they updated the rating on the game so that it can sideskirt this really stupid law.
I have a sneaking suspicion. I have a sneaking suspicion that this law is hard to enforce. There are MMOs that fucking work in Korea. Like,
doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Hey, do you think that if you take a disc off your shelf and you put it in your console at 2 a.m., is there a chance it might actually work?
Yeah, there's a possibility.
Well, fuck. Shit. Damn. Law defeated. Yeah, so anyway, Microsoft basically just went, fuck that, and they made it so that to register an account, you have to be at least 19 years old. And for a while, that was a weird gray zone since 2012, and they didn't really double check your age verification. They just said, yeah, make sure you're 19, whatever. And then they didn't do anything. But now, as of December 2020, it seems they're forced to sign into an Xbox Live account, which led to enforcement of your age rating on your account being correct. So this whole thing has become an insane, ridiculous farce because they kind of had a soft, sure, whatever, you have to be 19, but you don't enforce it thing, to now you actually have to, and now the rating actually applies, and now it's actually restricting people. And the law is stupid, but like this is like now that it's coming to actually affect people playing the game. protests and people are trying to, get them to can you fucking change this shit?
Can't you just unplug your fucking Ethernet cable?
But again, it's like government has to step in to say no, children must be sleeping. No, legally, you can't be dicking around when it's bedtime. Enforced mandatory government bedtime.
And most of the people listening to this podcast are going to be in Canada, the UK, the US in particular. For all of our problems, we definitely don't have to worry about, watch the pornography, go to jail.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I also immediately am thinking of the easier ways to do this, where you can just go, hey, use a parental lock on every system.
No!
Because it would really be as simple as just going, make sure you have a parental lock active on every computer and console, and then that would make the problem go away. If you want it to be that draconian about your enforcement.
Now, excuse me, I need to ask the Australians how the hentai ban is going.
Mm-hmm.
Are you guys okay?
While you're at it, forage for some leafy greens and chew your cud.
Okay, you kind of lost me on that one. Yeah.
Like a plant eating dinosaur,
But chewing cud's a cow thing.
Isn't it also a thing for anything with flat teeth, like herbivore teeth? Don't herbivores all do that?
That's a cow thing.
Oh, my mistake. Okay, well,
because they got the stomach that they throw the cud into, and then they go blah, and then they throw into the second stomach. It's real gross.
I thought it was a herbivore thing.
Everybody knows dinosaurs didn't have stomachs. They just ate the food and it came out at the end like Goku.
Oh, instant correction. There we go. No, not quite, Pat. Yeah. All right. Awesome. Yeah. Cool. There you go. It's an ungulate. It's
also sheep and goats, but sheep and goats are just different cows.
Okay. And they can
swim. The trick is that when I get proven wrong, you just go extra dumb. And then everyone can't tell whether or not it was a joke.
Well, thanks for the correction.
It was all a big joke.
Anyway. Yeah, I just, I have just that when you got the boss and then you have the little summoners around that are like praying super hard for the spell. And just every one of these stories, you just spend another turn for them to just summon it. Just summon the cleanser.
Sephiroth was right.
Madara wasn't wrong. Linkin Park was right. Meteor.
That's a good album. That's a good album. I don't care if it's embarrassing to listen to. I enjoy. That's a good album.
How would you be interested in a proposition? I've got a proposition. All right?
It's pretty vague, so I'll let you know in a minute.
Okay. Follow me here. Assassin's Creed forever.
No, I'm good.
You good?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Okay, but hold on. Climbing those towers forever.
I can't think of a single game franchise that needs this less.
Every month. Forever. Tailing missions. Forever. No? No? I thought it was a pretty good sales pitch. Damn. Well.
No, I'm good.
Assassin's Creed Infinity was originally rumored, but then they came out and confirmed it. It's the project that Montreal and Quebec have been working on. and it seems like they're making a platform that will unfold across multiple historic settings and will receive persistent updates as it is a live service game. So, as someone who didn't touch the last two, but I heard people, or three for that matter, Egypt, Greece, and now Vikings, didn't touch any of them, but I remember you guys saying that you enjoyed and thought they were pretty good as a reinvention of the franchise.
Yeah, the first time, and then I didn't finish it, and the second time where I finished less of it, and then the third time where I got 5 hours in, and I'm like, this is just the same fucking thing over and over and over. God damn it.
So the refresh of the franchise is also something you're tired of right now? The new version of it. Okay.
Oh yeah. The games are like 200 hours long, and they're like literally the same from hour 1 to hour 200. And like no one finishes them, and they're all tired.
The statement put out was, rather than continuing to pass the baton from game to game, we profoundly believe this is an opportunity to have integration in a collaborative. Okay, nothing in that statement at all. Multicultural team, various backgrounds, perspective. Yes, it's literally the statement again.
You know what's really funny? Yeah. There was an Ubisoft report that came out for their like investors and like management thing, in which they literally cite talent loss as the single highest risk to their company in the near future. And the talent loss is explicitly due to mistakes and inappropriateness by middle and higher management that went unsolved for long periods, leading to people just leaving the company and having difficulty hiring replacements.
The number of people I know that have left is higher than the number of people I know that are there.
Yep. Every time I've ever spoken to somebody either about Ubisoft and leaving, they're like, I'm out of here as soon as like whatever this clears, or that I had an interview with Ubisoft and I'm not gonna go. Fuck them. It's not worth it.
Yeah. So, again though, like, I feel as if just going back to whatever fucking 2002 or 3 or whatever, no, it was later than that, but whatever year that the invention of the franchise was, whenever it started after Prince of Persia went down, and then this kind of took on it as the replacement parkouring franchise. The idea, the promise of the let's go tell stories in different ancient cultures thing has been dropped so hard that the entire second half of its lifespan has been trying to, like, I guess, live up to what people kind of wanted it to be way back when. And the last 3 games did that by entering 3 different cultures. But this thing is like majorly billing itself as it'll jump through multiple historical settings and each will evolve over time. So it's promising something that, again, I feel like people were interested in back before they dropped the ball 8 or 9 times. You know?
Hey,
and you also have a fundamental core, which is even if you change the flavoring, if it's the same basic ingredients, people are going to get tired of the taste.
Hey, I have an idea. You know what I think this is for? I think they're worried about so many teams leaving. They've decided to have the remaining teams that can make a game, and then even if all those people quit, they can still have people just maintain the skeleton.
Well, they did say it was inspired by GTA Online and Fortnite. So having that live service gas system going is an easier way to rotate your staff if need be. And, you know, make money as you would. New armors and new skins and new this and new that as you go on in time. But I'm quite surprised, I do have to say, because again, I've checked out of the franchise, but over the last couple years, like I remember just hearing from from you guys about like, oh yeah, it's fun again, you know, and that was the last. It was the last impression that it made to me. So then when this got announced and I saw a collective eye roll, I was like, oh really, huh? But what about the whole reinvention? You know,
there's a lot of series that you could describe their quality as a bell curve or a straight line up or a straight line down. The Assassin's Creed fun factor graph is a audio wave sign. It goes up, up, up. Wow. Oh, we're going back down. Oh, they're reinventing it. Oh, here we go. Oh, it's fun again. Oh, no, it's the same thing again. Oh, they're going to take longer to make the game, so it's not going to be rushed out. Oh, it's the same fucking shit every time. It's too long. I don't care. They're making too much of it. So the Infinite is going to be on the way up, and then year 2 of the Infinite is going to be right back the way down.
Now, if they were in a place where the diminishing returns... Well, actually, I don't know if there were diminishing returns. But if there were, and they looked at the franchise and said, I don't know if another one is going to hit people right in their exhaustion point and kill it off. Right? Because it's 3, which we had that happen in a couple of... You know, you had 1, you had 2, you had... all the 2s as a trilogy, and then you had all the 3s, and then you had the Unity, and you had all the olds, you know, and then now you have this is on the 3rd. There would be a theoretical 4th one here of this new system. Now they might have looked at it and basically went, hey, Guitar Hero World Tour, right? Hey, we're at that point where you cash in by going, if you're still here and you care, well, now you can gas it up, and we can get you, and you can stick around, and we don't have to go through the resell to anybody who's not interested at this point, because it's hit that fall off. It's hit the point of the curve where you're like, the fans are the fans, and the people who are tired of it are probably just, they're gone. They might not buy 5, 6, or 7. Let's put it into a online Fortnite, GTA Online persistent world and get that regular money coming in.
It's interesting because I think it was Sterling that pointed out a while ago, but it's not that original of an assumption, but it's like the Assassin's Creed games would like, let's say Valhalla was literally exactly the same game as it is right now. Except it wasn't flanked on every side by every other game that Ubisoft makes, which are all functionally the exact same game over and over, it would be better received. Far Cry, whatever Splinter Cell's doing, the Tom Clancy shit, Assassin's Creed, and Watch Dogs are all functionally pretty much the same games with a slightly different coat of paint and a slightly different like aesthetic. And you can just point to the tower. Like, yeah, the combat's different here or whatever, but like, look at the tower. What is the game? You climb the tower, it pings your map with the mini things to do, and then you go do them, and it's open like they put out like 3 a year. It's crazy.
Yeah. So, like I was gonna say, it's a much more slow and much more scaled up version of a company like, say, Telltale, where you do it originally, it works out, and then it becomes a formula, and then the formula ends up wearing off after a while. It becomes less and less effective over time. You still have some odd standouts, like in Tales of the Borderlands was still really enjoyable at the point where we were all Telltale fatigued. But instead you have it happening at a rapidly increased pace because they have to put out FPSs, they have to put out Far Cry's, they have to put out like each of these branches of Ubi have games to put out, but they have that same one thing that they kind of realize, this is what we do well, and this is what we've perfected. Why change it? You know, or like a sports franchise, same idea. You know, this is the thing. This is what we're specialized in. Yeah. If Assassin's Creed just becomes this, and then that's where the franchise goes from here on out, that will probably be more profitable for them than it would trying to stoke interest
hey, Wooly,
an 8th and a 9th time.
I'm sending you a screenshot of a Watch Dogs 2 interactive map.
Yep. Stuff to do.
It is literally, the icons have covered every portion of the landmass. And like think of Tsushima, which is a direct analog. That is an Assassin's Creed game through and through, just without the towers. Think of how much cool-ass, nice, empty space there was in that, and how little filler there was.
Or even Spider-Man.
Yeah. Both of those Spidey-Man games. Like,
well,
fuck.
Yeah, Assassin's
By the way,
Creed.
that Tsushima thing coming out again. I'm gonna play it again. That game's good. I'm gonna do it.
I liked it.
I also liked it. I got like 90% through and then stopped. I don't know why. I hate it when I do that.
Well, speaking of Sony's first-party efforts, Japan Studios officially removed from the list of studios on Sony's website.
Well, that sucks.
So they had a page that lists each of their studios: Insomniac, Naughty Dog, Guerrilla, etc., etc., Bend. And for the longest while, Japan Studios was there because, you know, they were around. They did the Ape Escapes, the Gravity Rushes, the Knacks, and so on.
They did a shit ton of awesome stuff.
Yeah. They helped out as well on a number of projects that were not primarily their games, but they helped out with Bloodborne. They helped out with Last Guardian. They helped out with Demon's Souls Remake. They've been involved, you know, here and there. For a while. That logo shows up in a lot of good places. Yeah, well, you know, seems like that is coming to an end. They are now being sidelined, and its development team has been cut. So it seems like that's the end of an era.
Boo.
Yeah. Also, Patapon, lest we forget. Patapon.
Patapon's an incredible game that has, like, it's the... You know how people complain about Demon's Souls not having a pause button?
Mm-hmm.
Patapon not having a pause button made me want to, like, strangle somebody. It was absolutely fucking outrageous. It made me so mad. That game rules, though.
Yeah. And Loco Roco.
Yep.
One of the best OSTs in all of video games. Like, Loco Roco is like it's the only other entry in the Katamari genre for music, in my opinion. That is just as fire in a lot of ways. Yep, that sucks. Rip Japan Studio. Anyway, last but not least, while Sony's cutting studios like that, they're also printing ads where the console is upside down.
Yeah, that's a good one. I like that. Well, what's it matter? You're never going to get to see one in person.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, how would you know it's upside down? You'd have to lay eyes on the mysterious physical version of this thing, you know, in order to identify. But there's an ad where the disc slot is facing up. And they're like, yeah, PlayStation 5, Sony Shared Adventures, good times. And it's like you don't even know how to fucking place the damn thing because there's so few of them. Good job, guys.
It actually does help with the feeling that it's not a real console and that like everyone's just faking it.
It's a giant it's an ARG. It's one big fucking flash mob.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you can write in and send us some letters about your fake consoles. It's castlesuperbeastmail@gmail.com.
I want a Phantom. I want
Infinium Labs, baby.
The fakest console ever.
Infinium Labs presents the Phantom. All right. We got one coming in here. Scott from Australia says, "Dear Clown Basement Dog Farts and Wooly."
Yeah, good. Yeah, excellent.
There's a consumer trend that over the years has made my wife very frustrated. She refuses to try coffee-flavored Coke, for example, a few years back, because if it's great, it will eventually go out of stock and she won't be able to keep buying it. Do you ever have that live service food problem that ticks you off? Changed recipes, limited items, quality decline? This also applies to games, I possibly guess. Cheers. That's a pretty good one. It's like when you have something...
what an insane person does.
But it's the idea that it's like, okay, if you happen to like this one flavor that you know is going to go away because they're only offering it for some reason, then you're just like, fuck this entirely.
By that logic, if you and your wife have children, she can't like fawn over the baby because it'll grow up into a shithead and then she'll miss the baby part.
I get the frustration at rolling out something only to know that it's going to be gone ever so shortly. Ever so soon. You know, if it's whether it be like Coffee Coke or I don't know, like an Arch Deluxe or whatever other like thing. I guess you just enjoy it while it's there. As someone who was properly addicted to Cadbury cream eggs, the artificial scarcity was something that I just learned to deal with.
Yeah, whatever happened with that? I remember that being like a fucking I remember that was back in the height of my like unfettered OCD madness, and I'd look over you talking about Cadbury cream eggs, and you had like a fucking look in your goddamn eye that was like, I know that look. That's the look of madness.
Well, I decided to choose life.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I started cutting sugar out. What do you mean whatever happened to that?
Hey, Pat, what happened to that? And you answered my question.
Yeah. Hey, Pat, what happened to the booze?
Answer. What happened to the booze?
Yeah, exactly. You know, I used to wake up and choose violence. But now I wake up and choose
a slightly different form of violence.
So, I needed one every day. Like, it was so fucking good.
Wow, that's addiction.
Okay, need is a strong word, but if I'm walking over to college and I'm walking by the dep, I'm gonna stop in and get one. Why not?
Yeah, no, you said what you meant.
But I also didn't drink coffee at the time, so it also served a purpose too.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, instead of everyone has a morning coffee on the regular as a daily, but I wasn't doing caffeine at the time, so it kind of just I was using sugar as the caffeine, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
I understand the complaint there. Your wife's not insane. Enjoy it while it's there, though.
Your wife is completely insane.
No, enjoy it while it's there, and then realize that it'll be gone and it sucks, and that's all.
Yeah. Like, I saw my mom last week, or actually a couple days ago, and I gave her a hug, and I was like, I love you, Mom. Imagine if I would have been like, shit, my mom's gonna die one day. I can't get used to this.
Yeah, I think that's why the phrasing of the question was based on unimportant things like games and food, and not babies and parents.
No, all the same rules for everything.
Good. Glad we've established
People can be food too.
that. Okay.
The emotional weight is the same.
I mean, we've already discussed a while ago the act of not even wanting to play a game in or get into the achievements for a game because of the possibility of like them going away in some stupid way. I believe it was called ReFOMO, aka reversal edge fear of missing out. from a while ago.
I mean,
there was an old episode where we talked about ReFOMO.
Oh man, you want crazy. I was talking to people a couple weeks ago where I want to play the Legend of Heroes Cold Steel franchise, but they're like the 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th games in a long-running series, but I don't really want to play the first couple. And even though everyone's like, no, you can totally start with those, I'm like, I can't. I have to go back and play the old ones. So I go back to start playing the old ones, and I don't really like them. So I can't play the Cold Steel games. Just can't do it. So I'm not allowed.
Yeah. So it's the same, that's what it is. It's that same self-editing process where you're like, well, why even bother? You know? ReFOMO. We got one coming in from Joao, who says, hey there, Willie and Pat. This ended up being a little longer than I wanted to send. I'll summarize it. But it is basically that Disco Elysium refers to the prionic disease that wreaked havoc on everyone. And he basically describes exactly what prions are, in that they're simply proteins, and the way they work is, in real life, is something that is infectious, that can lead to an instant replication of a disease, because he studies them like as his profession. But the reason why they're so interesting in the context of Disco Elysium, because essentially proteins can gather in different ways. They can be a simple chain of amino acids, a spiral chain of amino acids, a 3D shape like crumpled together, and then several crumpled shapes together. And what happens is when a prion is active, the role it plays is that it causes the protein chains to break apart. So they represent entropy in the way that much of Disco Elysium, perhaps with the world itself, the Isolas, the Pale, the breaking up of things on a massive global scale, prions happening as an infection to people individually is causing that same floating apart and breaking up entropy to happen within their brains. So
that's why you don't eat people.
So it's just another detail of, you know, what is interesting with the setting. And like, this is all backstory in the game that is just like, you know, just kind of a little like, here's some setting for you. It's pretty cool stuff. But like, yeah, it's just another way that it all kind of wraps together. It's pretty fucking thematic and on point. And he goes on about the nature of them and how, yeah, I think the way he phrases it is that like, brain cells lose important receptors, they stress and die, overflowing prions start to form crystal-like structures, and your brain's response towards things like Parkinson's and such is they start combining with each other in search of further stabilité. You know? So just one of it's just a detail that is like potentially glossed over or lost, but if you know about like this actual type of disease and the way it works.
Are you implying that the detective is a cannibal?
I'm just implying that the backstory of that aspect in the plot is something that is even better thematically appropriate than we thought. And it says as well, there is no possible cure, and that's why I don't eat beef. Interesting.
Yeah, the mad cow was a prion disease.
And lastly, we'll take one here from Name Redacted. Name Redacted says, "Hey guys, not supposed to. I don't want. The person doesn't want to reveal too much here, but since the new Netflix Resident Evil series is coming out,
Right.
I encountered some hilarious Tokyo audition details that went down last year.
Yeah, I saw these. They're pretty good.
The audition sides and tapes for casting for the upcoming RECG movie were available last year. They were casting male and female actors to do full body motion capture for what seemed to be the two main characters. And the writing in the description of some of the details about these characters is pretty strong. Pretty strong. Japan's understanding of these soldier types is a little bit
It's rough.
Leaves a little something to
real
be desired. So let's just get right to it. Before you film the self-tape, who is Anna? Anna is a member of the Special Forces unit. Only the best of the best can join, like Navy SEALs. She's the best among them. Survived all kinds of gruesome training. Agent for more than 17 years. The definition of a professional. Can make a kill shot in any situation. Survived some of the toughest missions in the world, placing her life in danger every step of the way. She is as close to death as a Mexican policeman. She has lost too many friends. She approaches her operations with the responsibility of protecting lives. Prepared to give her own for that purpose. All right. Now, Steve, on the other hand, is a member of the special forces that only the best of the best can join, like Navy SEALs, but he is the best among them. Survived grueling training. Agent for more than 17 years. The definition of a professional athletic. Knows all the martial arts. Top-notch gunslinger. Can make a kill shot in any situation. Survived some of the toughest missions in the world. Placing his life in danger every step of the way. He is as close to death as a Mexican policeman. Lost too many friends and is lonely. Always calm, level-headed. Approaches operations and protects lives. Prepared to give his own for that purpose.
There's a lot to take away here, but like the phrase in the casting call as knows every martial art is gotta be the best.
All of them.
Knows all of the martial arts.
And then there's some actual just line reads, of which I only have to open up one and read the first line, and I think we're good.
Yeah, hit me. Yeah.
Biohazard, Anna and Donovan audition sides. Interior, submarine dock, lower facility, night. Anna stands up and confronts Donovan. Donovan, the world is filled with zombies. The poor. I learned that the hard way. I'll never forgive this world. You're just like me. Anna, what?
Yeah, there it is. There it is. So you wonder why those Resident Evil CG movies are kind of trash? Is like this is what they start out as. This is the start line of the process.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's power.
You know, it is genuinely appropriate for the Resident Evil series to sound this trashy, considering the original game was written by people who couldn't speak English, like directing English actors and then cutting up their lines of dialogue by word.
This is just going back to the roots, really. All of this modern Resident Evil coherence is some bullshit.
That's bullshit.
This is where it started.
The real shit.
Yeah.
Where every line of dialogue is copy pasted from 10 takes.
They're just
by
doing
someone who can't understand what they're saying.
They're doing the legacy of the franchise justice. You know, that's the history you need to keep in mind.
Like, you know why it's so hard to track down the voice actors for those original Resident Evil games? Like, one specifically? Most of the time, they're just white people they saw on the street near their office. And just went, hey, you, get in. You wanna be in a video game?
Which is also what TV shows are like. When there'd be, like, random foreigners in TV shows, you know, it'd be like, all right, are we near the military base? No? Then just, who do you got? Who do you see? Ask them if they want to come in for a couple of yen, you know? Yeah, I just,
right.
like, there's some, like, again, the cutting up of the word, like, all of that are just the line reads where it's like, no, more dull, more flat, intonation flat. And it's like,
open your mouth wider. No, wider. You're laughing. No, wider. You're sad.
It's so crazy to me to, like, be working on a project in a language that, like, I'm just going on what I think sounds cool, but I don't know how it would feel to people who speak it. Like, to get to that degree, if I were directing someone speaking Japanese where I kind of understand some of it and the rhythm of it, sort of, but I don't...
like shit, man.
It'd be crazy. It would be so insanely fucking presumptuous of me to start telling someone speaking Japanese that is Japanese, like, what the rhythm of their words should sound like. It would be nuts, you know?
So, like, a really good example, when they were able to track down Chris's actor from the original Resident Evil, it's, I want to say, like, Justin Wang had a hand in, like, tracking those people down, or maybe it was just popularized it. But it was confirmed that the guy who plays Richter in Symphony of the Night is the guy who plays Chris in Resident Evil 1. Which is why I've thought that forever, but there's no way to confirm it because they had those fake voice acting credits. So, like, compare, like, the line reads in, like, Die Monster, you don't belong in this world, and literally everything Chris says in Resident Evil 1. Like, that's the same guy. Look, like, he said, like, Die Monster's, like, cheesy, but it still reads like a fucking human being talking.
Like a human being, yeah.
And then you compare to, like, whatever the fuck is going on with Resident Evil 1. Though there is one, I don't know if you've ever seen it, Wooly, but there is one line read out of all of RE1 that is, like, legitimately fantastic, and it might be the best line read in all of Resident Evil. When Wesker shows off the tyrant, and Chris laughs at him, and he's, like, chuckling, and Wesker's actor is like, no, stop it. like he's, like, fussy and annoyed, and it's incredible. It's the moment that I always think of when I'm thinking about RE5 and he's like a X-Man supervillain. No, God, Chris, Ultimate Weapon. Come on.
Capcom and Konami in particular seemed like ridiculous with this particular thing. I mean, you know, it doesn't get brought up as much because of how hilarious and insane the RE line readings were, but DMC1 is fucking weird from top to bottom.
Is bizarre,
you know, and, like, the campiness of Dante is established, and he does tell Featherface to flock off or stick around and find out the hard way. You know, but his soul is still screaming.
I think there's the final line of Devil May Cry 1 always stood out to me because it's nonsense, and it's like I remember beating the game like, what is that fucking? It's like, the sky, it's fair, looks on down upon us the same every, like, what the fuck are you talking about? What does that mean?
Just you know, like, find where lore heads, find me the fucking diegetic reason for that. If you can come up with sad Dante missed his brother in DMC2 bullshit, then find me the reason why Dante's a weirdo in part 1. and then goes back to being normal in the others. Explain that shit in universe. Yeah.
He was distracted by Mother.
All right. We'll put it there.
Before we get out of here, are we still here, Wooly?
We're here.
Okay, if you're watching this live, it'd be really cool of y'all to go check out twitch.tv/peachsaliva in about an hour and 10 minutes.
Oh.
As someone's going to be debuting their VTube Freakazoid.
Oh, there you go. How much of the hardware is on and applied? Are there giant bodysuits and headpieces, or is it just working with the?
All I'll say is that I will confirm there is no giant bodysuit and headpiece.
Okay. All right. All right.
All right. That's all. I just want to plug that.
There you go.
Y'all have a good rest of your week.
Mm-hmm. Take it air. Take it air. Take it what?
Take it air. Take it air, Dante.